Hello and welcome to another episode of Post Credits Podcast, where we talk about movies. This is episode 5, and on this episode, we will discuss Gladiator II and our thoughts of where it sits in the industry. I am one of your hosts, Grayson Maxwell. Joining me as I do every week are my co-hosts, Roger. Where are the Tigers in Gladiator II? Stallion and the lovely Chris Bond.
Yo.
How are you today, gentlemen?
Doing good.
Doing good, doing well. I've seen a lot of movies this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first thing I think Roger texted after he saw it was, "Where are all the goddamn tigers in Gladiator 2?" Because he felt cheated. There were no tigers in the actual arena in Gladiator 2.
Well, we got some riveting. What was it?
Baboons.
Like
Some
title
awful-
cards for you guys. And one of the questions on today's game show is going to be who did animal violence better, Gladiator 1 or 2?
Oh,
I can't wait to talk about the awful CGI. I can't believe we're still doing this in 2024.
All
What
right.
are we doing?
buddy, it's just getting worse. And I hear that I'm not going down that path yet because I'm going to fucking light it up here in a little bit. So
Yeah, I was like, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We got other things to talk about first.
What
we got?
else is going on, guys? What's going on in your lives?
I don't know, Chris, you watched a lot of stuff this
I
week.
watched
right?
a lot of movies this week. Yep, I watched Gladiator. Rewatched Gladiator.
Sure.
Watched Gladiator 2.
Same.
I watched Wicked.
Mm.
And
So
yeah.
what'd you? 2 seconds. What'd you think? Yay or nay?
Personally, for me, it's a nay, but
Okay.
I'm not the target audience for that movie. I can see
So
why.
you went with the fam, right?
I went the whole fam.
They fucking
and
loved it, didn't they?
They fucking loved it. My wife openly wept in the theater.
Wait. How much pink was in your theater at the time?
I've never seen so many pink vests, like pink poofy vests, in my life. I was in a.
You
packed
should have
theater
wore
in
your
our
pink
area.
poofy vest.
I didn't have it on me, dog. It's in the wash. It's getting ready for my trip to Japan.
So we're
actually.
going to talk about that in a couple of weeks. And
Yep.
Yeah. So I assume you have it back by then.
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Perfect.
I'll wear it for the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
I expect
But no.
nothing less.
Wicked was wild. My theater was literally filled up. People had to move around and stuff for when other people came in.
Man,
It
you went
was
to a
crazy.
sold out show?
Yeah, I mean, so it wasn't sold out, but the entire back. You know how you have the
Yeah,
like the usual seats, and then you have the bastardized front seats
Sure, which
that no one
nobody
ever
wants.
sits in. There were like 2 groups of people that had to sit in the front seats because there was no room in the back.
I mean, there
anymore.
was 3 weeks ago I saw a movie by myself. Like just me.
I
was the only person there.
I saw a movie by myself this week. Well, not really, but way more empty than this one. So, but yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, good stuff though. I finished Ted Lasso this week.
Oh, yeah?
Did
What
that.
Thoughts?
Thoughts, please.
My thoughts are that if they don't do a season 4, I'll be happier than if they do a season 4.
I would
think
agree. I
the show
100%
is-
agree with you.
The show was fantastic all the way through. Some seasons were better than others. Obviously, I wasn't a big fan of the 3rd season. Actually, I think things trailed off for the
So-
show by then.
I don't want to interrupt. Can I ask a question
Yeah,
about
yeah.
what you just said about this? So do you think that the 3rd season isn't the strongest? I'll agree with that. But I think the back 3 episodes
Mhm.
are like the 3 strongest in a row, like to close it out, because the first half of the season of season 3 is the weakest part because
Yeah.
it gets a little jumbled up, but like how it ends so fucking strong.
So the movie ends for the characters very strongly. However, I like my biggest problem was like some of the subjects they hit in the last 3 episodes felt very forced and ham-fisted.
Sure.
Like it felt like PSA after school special stuff for some of them.
Oh yeah. Sure.
You know what I mean? And it felt very inauthentic and unorganic. However, where like every other episode of that show from start to mid season 3 felt very organic. It
Sure.
felt
like real life.
yeah, it felt like they could have been they could have been doing like ad lib stuff all the way through the whole show essentially. Whereas those last 3 episodes, like some of the subjects they had the players hit and like the big like stuff like people's like information online getting stolen and like
Yeah.
nudes getting leaked and Colin's like whole arc of
Sure.
character, it felt very like ham-fisty and like forced, whereas nothing else ever felt like that all the way through the show. So that's
Okay.
why I didn't like 3 as much as the other 2 seasons. However, fantastic show. Season 3 is still a banger.
Yep.
And that was a fantastic show. Me and my wife
Good.
both agreed.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I know I pressured you for a long time to at least check it out.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because
Nope.
like my thing with that is like, look, if you get through the first couple episodes, you don't like it, you can step away. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I bet you,
No, it
you're
was
like,
good.
this is
I
pretty
was
fucking good.
I was pretty wrapped up in all the different things they had going on. So
How many times did you cry?
None.
None. 0 through the whole show.
I did not cry. The waterworks.
That's gross.
The waterworks tried to come online twice.
Okay.
Which
out of
one?
it.
Where? What was the?
When he's talking about his son in season 3, and
Sure.
in the second last episode to his mom.
Yep.
That was close.
Yep.
That was close. That
Real
was the
real
closest it
combos
came.
with his mom, and that was
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, and then there was one other point in season 2, I think it hit me, and then their Christmas episode is I didn't cry during the Christmas episode, but it was a spectacular episode.
It is legitimately. I will watch it during my Christmas stuff.
Okay,
from
yeah,
here on
yeah.
out because like it is that good.
I'll have to rewatch it just make sure it's okay for like my kids to see if it just comes on. I think it's got a couple things in there that wouldn't be okay with my youngest. You know,
I think so.
being a part of.
When she's talking about going to the Christmas party with Daniel Craig and who's his wife, Rachel Weisz.
Yeah,
He's like
yeah.
every time they get together, it's a great time, but all I want to do is watch them fuck.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, yeah, I could see that. it's just like a casual mention.
Yeah.
And Ted's like, no, I get that because yeah, you get that.
Yep. But yeah, watch tons of stuff this week. So and then as amongst them, Arcane starts as soon as possible because basically I want to see it before.
So
I
still haven't
go on
watched that
vacation.
show, and
You
I know
need
you've
to.
recommended it. And here's the thing,
I love it. I finished it. I love it.
So I have said that I am going to do better at that because I am usually the recommender, not the recommendee.
Mhm.
I will. I've heard nothing but good things about this new stuff.
Yep.
Like people are like, I binged it, and I'm like, damn, I really got to get on that ball.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that 100%. Arcane is the animated drama thriller show for people that don't like animated stuff.
Cool.
It's just fucking solid all the way through.
That's
Yeah,
great.
Chris peer pressured me into watching season 1, but he didn't even watch the movie I recommended on the flip.
Yeah,
So-
but you gained in that exchange because I lost because I didn't see yours. You know what I mean? I'm of
Wait,
lesser.
what movie did you recommend?
I don't even remember.
Give me
Very
that
important.
important.
Hold on, I will think back. I will remember. But
What's the one about the sun going out? Is that one of the ones you
that's
recommended
it.
for?
Sunshine. Yeah,
Okay,
That's it.
yeah.
Sunshine. The
That's
movie's
what-
called Sunshine.
So that's a
Yeah.
movie about the sun's dying. Yeah,
Okay.
here's the thing. That's
It's
actually
good.
really,
It's
that's a
good.
good
Yeah.
a good flick.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
like one of the best sci-fi flicks ever, man. Sunshine. Yeah.
All right.
And you're a sci-fi guy, so that's
Listen,
why
I just
recommend it, yeah.
watched The Martian for the first time. You know, give
That's
me a
Philip.
break.
And you
fair.
liked it very
I did.
much, didn't
and
you?
Interstellar, it's like it's in contention for my favorite movie of all time. You know what I mean? Like
So
I'm catching up.
can we talk about Interstellar for 2 seconds?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't
It
really
gets
know.
re-released soon. It gets re-released.
Well,
soon.
so yeah,
Mhm.
so they've been running it off and on all weekend because it is getting re-released in like 2 weeks.
Mhm.
But this is the 10-year anniversary was this weekend
Okay.
of it coming out. So it's been on. I think it's been on like what was it, sci-fi something where they're playing it with like limited commercial interruptions.
Oh
so
heck yeah, we
yeah,
got to.
so I mean, yeah, it's a pretty good movie and it's long.
Yeah.
So, but it's like it's a movie like I just get sucked into. Did
It's-
you guys get the thing where I sent you the video with the guy who made the little tars?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
So there's a guy on it's either TikTok or Reels. I don't remember which one it is.
Mhm.
I've been watching it on Reels because I don't have TikTok. But
Yeah.
the guy made his own little tars that walks around and
Yep.
answers with chat GPT.
Yep.
He calls them GPT tars, and it's incredible,
Yep.
and 2, it's really funny because Tars is kind of a prick.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's great
Yep.
because like he hates us, and that's fine
Yeah.
because he deserves to.
I think out here that's coming there. I think they have a few showings in IMAX.
Mhm.
Like for a whole week, they have
Oh,
like
I would
2
dig that in
showings.
IMAX.
Yeah,
dude.
I'm gonna try to see it in IMAX. Unfortunately, I don't think it's probably gonna be anywhere around you guys are. Like Pittsburgh, maybe, but I doubt it.
If I could talk my wife into it, I'd go watch it in
At the-
IMAX.
It's a hell of
Also-
an experience, though.
I mean, just remember, if you can't get to IMAX, we do have a Cinemark 4, a Cinemark
yeah.
XD as
Correct.
well.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
but that's also in Pittsburgh. So I mean, if
It
you're going
is.
to
Yeah,
Pittsburgh, you
either
might as well
way.
go.
but it is closer,
It is. Yeah.
which is an acceptable replacement. I've been told.
So I want to talk about one thing for 1 second. It's been a very long time, and I'm very happy to see. But I went up to AMC City Walk again for
Okay.
one of the first showings of the Gladiator. I saw it Monday through Amazon. Sorry, not Amazon. AMC's. They do like a See the Unseen thing where they give you. It's on a Monday night, and they give you the length and the rating because that's what they have to give you. But it was rated R, and it was 2.5 hours, and it's always something that's never been released in the U.S. before. So it had to have been Gladiator II. I was pretty lucky it was. It wasn't on it was actually on one of their worst screens.
Huh.
So I didn't that's the first time I saw it. And the second time I went up to City Walk, the AMC City Walk, Universal.
It's a restaurant in South Park.
It's been
Yes.
a long time since I've seen that many people in one place. That much combination of pink and green for Wicked.
Yeah.
And then the few stragglers for Gladiator. There was a ton of people dressed in togas. It felt
Why?
good.
Gross.
It
They're-
felt good to be around,
they're
but like that many
scum.
people, it's so nice to see that many people in theaters again. It doesn't happen very often, and it probably won't happen many more times going forward. But it's just nice, man.
I want you to understand how much I loved watching that movie by myself a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
How fucking awesome it
What
was.
movie?
That was when we
Gladiator.
watched Here. I saw it
Oh,
by
Here.
myself,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here
which
was
is
a
an
little
episode
after
that is now on YouTube.
YouTube.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
that one's up and on there.
Mhm.
Well, gentlemen, should we start a show? We got a lot to talk about today.
We
Oh,
do.
yeah.
We do.
Yeah, let's
We
go
Any
into
other
want to talk
business
about-
first? No, we're good. Good. Move along.
Let's get in.
Once again, folks, this is episode 5 of Post Credits Podcast, where we talk about movies. This week, we have the esteemed pleasure of talking about Gladiator II from Ridley Scott. But first, we are going to talk about the box office, a recommendation, obviously Gladiator. I'm going to lead that, but you guys are more than welcome to jump in.
Never seen it.
And then I want to kind of talk about if you guys can just chime in about what's your favorite, I call them sword and sandal epics. Just your favorite sword and sandal movie. We'll talk about that for a minute. And then we'll hop right into Gladiator and Gladiator 2. But without further ado, and as new tradition dictates, let's check at the box office.
Let's do it.
Wicked #1, which is a surprise to absolutely nobody.
Not me.
It's at 114 million domestic for a worldwide of 164, which is excellent. Here's where it gets dicey for those keeping track and wanting Gladiator 2 to do better. Gladiator 2 got its ass kicked in the US, 55.5 million. It literally got lapped. But but the worldwide is 221, which is
It's a good number.
exceeded.
It is.
It's a good
it is.
number.
There is an asterisk upon that, though.
There's
knowing-
there's a caveat.
Yeah.
a major caveat.
Knowing that Wicked's not going to be released as widely worldwide as Gladiator will. So
But I'm
But-
very happy to see that number for Gladiator.
Well,
I
yeah,
didn't
and
expect it. I didn't
good.
expect it.
Good for them making. That they're both making money. In the ways that they're able to.
Yeah,
The,
I mean, it's nice that we get a movie come through with a good bit of like family appeal
Mhm.
with Wicked. Not quite to the level we did with like Oppenheimer and Barbie,
yeah.
because this one's clearly a musical
People
for
are
Wicked.
people are calling this movie combination Glicked.
Yeah, no, I hate
And
that.
I hate
Glicked,
every
no,
bit of
it's
it. Like
gross.
I don't. I look. I mean, I don't. Do you hate the name or do you hate the concept?
Both.
yes.
Well, no. I mean, Barbenheimer. But I think
Barbenheimer made sense.
Barbenheimer
Those are
raised-
two juggernauts.
Yeah, those
This-
were
This is not that.
those two movies combined made $2.5 billion.
Juggernauts or not. I mean, I would say Gladiator 2 and from a distance, if you're looking at the 4 movies, Gladiator 2 and Wicked are far more anticipated than Oppenheimer and Barbie.
No, wrong.
No, I mean, if
False.
you look,
I mean, they
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
They have a
You
longer
think-
history.
If you're looking a year out at Gladiator 2, first one's the Best Picture winner, and Barbie, which we
Sure.
couldn't have known was going to be as good as it was, you would have put your money on Barbie being the better and the more successful movie
Then
Well,
Wicked
I
or
would-
Gladiator.
than Gladiator. I wouldn't have.
I mean,
PG-13 movie about the most popular toy of all time.
Sure, but I mean, anticipated or not, I don't. I just don't see it like that. But
as much so I think it's easy to Monday morning quarterback this and say one thing or another. Here's the thing: Gladiator has the same director behind it. It has
Sure.
it has a lot of returning people on it.
It's a lot of
Dude.
returning scenes.
It's missing Hans Zimmer, and you feel that. But like
you
looking
feel
at
everything. You feel everything is missing.
looking at Gladiator 2 in the way you're asking right now, Grayson, and looking at the other 3 movie slots, I would have expected more out of Gladiator 2 than what we got.
Well,
However-
that's my point. That's you answered the
however-
question.
However, Barbie is and was a juggernaut in the space. Wicked, I think, would probably be the one you'd have the most anticipation for. You know what I mean? Like out of the 4 movies,
Sure. absolutely.
it has the most notoriety amongst like the overall populace over the longest time right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that, but
So.
I guess my point is, I want movies to keep doing this. If Wicked and Gladiator 2 are going to help each other make more
Mhm.
box office, I'm all about it then.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just that
Well-
stupid name Glickett. I don't know about that, but
just for reference to the opening weekend of Barbie and Oppenheimer was like 250 between the two of them.
And we're at like 150 or something like that for these. For these
170.
two? Okay.
well, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
substantial difference
substantially
in
different, but it's
domestic.
not awful though. It's not awful.
Oh
No, like look, this is a good weekend.
We've had weeks where opening weeks have been like 35 million total. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
yeah.
So yeah, no,
I mean,
this is a great
we
week.
very recently, as of like 3 weeks ago, were like, this isn't $40 million, and fuck, Venom was released.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
come on. And that movie's a
Speaking
disaster.
of another movie that was a disaster, let's talk about Red One for 1 second. 13.3 million.
Mhm.
With a worldwide of 117. It's weird. So I was in the theater this weekend, obviously, to watch a few movies, and I saw a poster with The Rock, Chris Evans, and a badass looking Santa Claus. Like 20 years ago, that would have been the biggest movie of the season. And this one, like, nobody cares about Red One. Because why? Why does no one care about Red One? It's a poorly made movie
Yeah.
with almost no story. There's almost zero characterization, and it's just I am upset. I get more and more angry than when I look back at it.
Good,
That
you
movie
should be mad.
exists.
So
mad.
hold on. If we made Red One 20 years ago, who's in it? Who's the Rock's
no.
character?
The Rock is still there.
The
It
Rock
would not
is
be Chris
timeless.
Evans.
Straight out of the WWE.
Yeah.
The Rock's still there.
Like Scorpion King style. Fuck yeah. That's it.
I was gonna say Sylvester Stallone, but all right, that's good. You know, who takes over
I
the
don't know who
Who's
does
Santa Claus? Sam Elliott.
Maybe.
Okay,
Maybe.
And let's see,
that works.
20 years ago.
Ed
God,
Norton?
No, he wouldn't have done that.
Nah, not
You don't think?
20 years ago.
That's
Chris
a tough call.
Pine.
Chris Pine.
Chris
no,
Pine
no,
20
no,
years
no,
ago?
No, no, no.
Not
Chris,
a chance.
Chris Pine star like no.
Who is Chris Evans' character 20 years ago?
I don't. Some like smooth talking. Chris could. I mean, Evans was big 20 years ago. He could have done it.
I never
but I
heard
don't
of him
think-
until he's
Yeah,
Captain
but
America.
it's too. Like, you need somebody a little bit older than that, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's got to be dad age, right? You know, or passable as dad age.
Maybe Cillian Murphy. I don't. That's not his
No.
character. That's not
He wasn't
his
good back then,
role,
was
though.
he? Well,
Yes.
wasn't big back then.
Cillian's always been.
He
good.
he was in some stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll
All
have to
right,
go. I have to
Roger
go
will
through.
fight you over
actors.
that one. He'll
Hmm.
fight you over that one. But
Yeah.
another one that kind of surprised me. I haven't seen, but my friend saw it weeks and weeks ago through the See the Unseen, whatever that thing Amazon or AMC does. Is
Mhm.
Bonhoeffer, Pastor, Spy, Assassin, 5.1 million with a worldwide of 5.1. So it didn't do a whole lot, but I hear good things about it. That's one thing I've been meaning to check out. Just haven't had time. And number 5, speak of the devil, Venom, still in the top 5, 4 million domestic with a worldwide of 456. That one's just quietly trickling past and keep going. So good for Venom.
It would have been Matt Damon.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah.
Or I got one better. Would it have been Topher Grace?
No,
20
No?
years ago?
Yeah, Topher was big 20 years ago, wasn't
I mean,
not
Topher-
like Matt Damon.
He was still
All right,
doing
fair.
70 show 20 years ago.
You know what
Yeah.
though? Okay, so hold on. Hear me out. Red One 20 years ago. You have Sam Elliott as Santa Claus.
Okay.
Here's where it gets a little bit different. We
Okay.
keep Matt Damon
Matt
as
Damon.
the Chris Evans character, but you know who's the Rock?
Who?
It's fucking Ben Affleck.
Yeah, Ben Affleck, of course.
That's
Holy
it.
shit.
That's it. Grayson fucking knew where I was going.
Yeah, of
Ugh.
course. Yeah,
Oh, they have a
Ben
terrible
Affleck.
Boston accent, and they're gonna hurt some people.
This is just a Silent Bob movie now.
That's it.
With a Santa
Let's
Claus.
go.
What was that? What was that awful? Hold on, wasn't he in an awful Christmas movie? That didn't do it. Was it? Hold on.
He was in Reindeer Games.
Ashley Judd. Him and what? Ashley? Yeah, Reindeer
Yeah.
Game. That's right.
Yeah, where they robbed that casino.
That's
Yeah.
a bad
Yeah.
movie.
Yep,
That's a
yep,
bad
yep.
movie.
6 through 10, real quick. The best Christmas pageant ever. Heretic, The Wild Robot, still in the top 10. I'm happy about that. Smile 2 and A Real Pain, another movie I've been meaning to check out. Just haven't
The
had
Heretic,
time.
which is awesome, by the
Mhm.
way. Check it out.
I love The Heretic, man. The more I think about it, the more I love it. I gotta be honest about that.
Great flick. Great.
I
flick.
agree. So let's talk about
Oh,
Gladiator really quick.
one last thing about the box office
Yeah.
is, again, I almost called it to the number for how much money Wicked was going to make. I'm getting really good at this. Like really,
Dangerously
really good.
close.
Dangerously close. It's like, look, we'll find out tomorrow how good I did.
All right. Yeah. True.
Monday morning. Yeah.
Grayson, you said you had you want to go right into Gladiator, or did you have a question for us
This
about?
is my recommendation though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
This week on What's Streaming, obviously it's Gladiator. It's on it's on Paramount Plus because Paramount did the sequel. They released the sequel, so they have this one. But I mean, I imagine most people have this DVD or even VHS that they could pop in. But here's the thing about Gladiator is I think Gladiator is as timeless as you get. Directed, of course, by Ridley Scott. Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix, Connie Nielsen, Derek Jacobi, Jaimin Hansu, Richard Harris, which we're missing in this one in the sequel, Spencer Treat Clark, who did not come back as the
Mhm.
character, even though it's been that long since he could have. I'd like to know the story behind that, if he was even asked or they didn't even ask him. I don't know, but uh, so most people have seen Gladiator. The one thing I was hoping with you guys to get at least to watch some of those scenes that I sent you is like
Yeah.
how good the movie is and how well it keeps with time.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
I think Gladiator has some of the best conversations in movie history. I
Sure.
think the conversation between Aurelius and him in the beginning about what is Rome and what it can be is, I think, one of the best examples of teaching young filmmakers how to use the most of your screen, how to put people around it so they're moving, and using facial expressions and their faces telling the story as much as the words they're saying. It's one of those sequences that from the first time I saw it in the theater with my sister opening night, I have never forgotten it, ever, 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 ever. But Gladiator, of course, is a story, a fictional story, set in somewhat of a real time period of ancient Rome at the height. Is a Roman general becomes a slave who then becomes a gladiator who then defies an emperor. And
Sure.
because of the politics that surround, which I think they did an excellent job in writing in the script, it wasn't just a hand wave of an explanation. Is they the good and the evil, they kind of needed each other to survive, because the emperor couldn't just kill Maximus because the people would then revolt,
Hmm.
and
Sure.
Maximus had to survive long enough to hatch some kind of plan to get close to the emperor to kill him. So
Hmm.
they both had reasons to stay alive, and it's one of those movies that it's one I would put on my top 10 of all time list. I think a lot of people might actually join me in that. Would you guys put that on your top 10 of all time list?
I mean,
For you personally.
it's in the conversation for me, right? Like I'd have to look at make my draft of 20. I'm sure it's in there, right? But other
Sure.
than that, I'd have to I can admit that it'd be in the conversation. I don't know if it'd make the cut in the end, but
It's
I mean,
close.
yeah, like
It's
if not,
close.
it's knocking on the door of top 10 for sure. Easily one of the best, like just as you've put it, like sand and sandal, like action movies like you're ever gonna get. It's in the top 2 of those for me. So it's
Sure.
fantastic.
Is
Yeah.
is the other one Troy?
It is actually. Yeah, yeah. It
Okay, okay.
is. I love Troy. I think
Well,
Troy's
What's the
fun.
other terrible one that came out around the same time? Alexander,
Yes, yeah.
where you get to
that
see
yeah,
Colin Farrell's genitalia.
You
yep,
know,
yep, yep.
good for that
That's
guy.
actually one of the few times in history that the director's cut was actually 8 minutes shorter.
What?
Yeah,
Is that
because it
is
was
that real? Is that a
that's
real
real.
thing?
That's
Yeah, I
funny.
have it.
What the fuck?
It's called the final cut of who did that? Stone. Oliver Stone did that. He always does the final cut of his.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's 8 minutes shorter
Yeah.
because there's so much waste in that movie. My God.
Yeah. If gun to my head, my favorite, like sand and sandal movie that I'm Sword and Sandal, is that what you
Sword and
said?
Sandal. Yeah,
Sword and Sandal. I think it's Troy. Yeah, it is. I love that story. I love the Hector versus Achilles fight. I think it's one of the best
Well,
choreographed fights that has ever happened on screen.
I'm glad you bring that up. And I was going to ask you guys as we move into the, just something you like in the sword and sandal genre, as I think Troy would be on my list. I don't think Troy's a good movie. However, I think Troy benefits from the same thing that Gladiator really benefited from, was it was made in the old Hollywood style.
Mhm.
You had a million different drafts of them. You had, people that were really stars in these roles, which is part of my problem with Gladiator 2 is I think that's a huge problem in Gladiator 2. We'll talk about that. But like even Chris, as you mentioned, like Brad Pitt to me is Achilles. I still think that's one of my favorite roles of all time.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
Is
agreed.
the way he plays it, the lines that are written for him, it's like that movie was written by adults. The movies you see, like, I mean, there aren't many movies today that I will look at you dead in the eye and say that was written by adults, because they're just like Red One, not written by adults. We just talked about it,
Mhm.
not written by adults.
That was
Which
written by AI. I'm convinced.
well, I mean, written by AI
Mhm.
for the adolescent mind or for a public they think is stupid. So, I mean, that's the difference between all those movies. And like, I mean,
Mhm.
Ridley Scott did a number of them, and I mean, I'm expanding the sword and sandal scope to like the medieval, but he did like Kingdom of Heaven.
Oh, we're doing
Um,
that.
Oh,
Man,
man.
there's
well,
so
no,
many
I'm just
better
saying, like,
ones in
but
there.
like
That's
Ridley Scott
unfair.
has done a lot of stuff that
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
done a
yeah.
ton of period pieces. It's just I guess King Arthur, I also have a love hate relationship with, because I mean, That
A
movie, I
lot of those
think.
movies are bad. That's
Well, I
why.
mean, I'm talking about the Clive Owen. I don't care about the other ones. That
And that's
Clive Owen,
also not that
Clive
good.
Owen, the Clive Owen, that is a guilty pleasure movie for me. I
mine too.
love that movie.
Yeah, but you know it's not good.
It's
fucking
bad, dude. It's
bad.
bad.
It's one of those things. It's like I watched the movie for the whole sake of when Clive has to go to his men and tell them that they have to go on another journey. It's like in that like 3 or 4 minute sequence of Ray Winestone completely owns that
Oh
sequence,
yeah,
and like the
Well,
things he's
yes.
saying is like it's just to me it's like it's great. It's like one of the few things in that movie that's like okay, that's passable. I'm
yeah.
okay with that, but otherwise the movie just sucks. And the funny part about that is Bruckheimer cast Clive Owen as King Arthur because he thought that was going to be the next James Bond, and he didn't cast Daniel Craig. He didn't cast Craig because he thought Clive Owen's going to be the next James Bond.
Huh.
And isn't that funny? Because like the person he didn't cast became James Bond.
Yeah,
So,
but
like-
I mean, Clive Owen didn't like. I mean, I don't know. He does fine in the movie, and he's
Oh sure,
he's
but
good. You know what I mean?
Clive Owen is no Daniel Craig. Look, Clive, I love
Yeah.
you. If you want to come on the show and talk about it, fine. I just Daniel Craig, I think, is a better actor, but that's just me.
all right. Fair enough.
The one I don't want to divert the conversation away from the sandal
Sword
side
and
of it,
sandal,
But,
sure.
well, no, but like doing a medieval fantasy that's not Lord of the Rings based has been really, really hard for things. Because, but the other thing is too is it's the same for the sandal part of the sword and sandal, right? Like if you look at the ones in the last 10, 15-ish years,
Mhm.
so many of them are bad.
Yeah.
Like you guys remember we already made fun of The Rock once today, so let's do it again. You guys
Yeah.
remember Hercules?
Oh
You
God.
guys remember that?
Hold on. Which Hercules?
Yeah.
We talking about the Rock? We talking
The one with
about
The Rock.
The
Helen
Rock in
Lutz,
it.
which was
Well,
also
okay, that one's
awful.
also bad.
Yeah.
Like
Right,
a
so
whole new
both
level of bad.
both of those are awful. The other one that I could think of off the top of my head was the Clash of the Titans movie, which is a little bit more sci-fi mythological though.
Those are
Yeah.
awful
But like,
too, though.
well,
man.
here's the thing: the first one is a very watchable movie.
Yeah.
but like,
Yeah.
it's not good.
Yeah, it's not. No.
But like, they made a second one, and it's terrible. It's like,
Yeah,
it's
but it made a ton of money. That's the thing. Is like it made
well,
money.
so like everything tries to do like the hey, we want to build a character, and they always get too convoluted, and like either there's too much medieval stuff or too much like magical elements, and it becomes wildly unbelievable, or there's terrible CGI in it, and everything's trying to recapture like the Gladiator thing, and nothing has really been able to do that. But then the medieval side of it too is like we haven't gotten a King Arthur movie, which I listen, it's got to be very expensive to do. I understand that, but like we haven't gotten a good King Arthur based movie in 30 years.
Well,
Yeah.
hold on. Which movie are you saying kickstart the 30? I would say it's Excalibur.
Well, that's
just me.
30 something years ago, right?
No, that's
Yeah.
it's like it's 80 something. It's like
Okay.
83 or something. That's
But yeah, I mean, like that's how
40
far
something
back
years
you
ago.
have to go. Like basically my entire life, there hasn't been a good one. They keep trying to redo Robin Hood, doesn't work.
I wish people would stop
Another
doing
Ridley
Robin
Scott.
Hood.
No,
Sure.
I disagree. I think the Ridley Scott movie with Russell Crowe is actually very good. I just think people they remember
Robin Hood
it
one?
wrong. Yes,
Okay,
they
okay.
remember it wrong. But
Um,
it's
but
go
like
ahead.
if you were to make a movie like that now, like I couldn't even tell you which way to make a script. Do you try to make like a big drama based thing, or you try to bring in like the magical elements with like Merlin or whatever? Because I know what would happen.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
we
like
got
they'd
that
immediately
movie.
be like big budget CGI, wizards, dragons, blah blah blah, and you probably don't need that.
Yeah. No, because like thinking about it, you almost need something like Gladiator to be an actual series, and not Spartacus where there's a lot of fucking. But like we really need like an actual like Rome like episodic show that's done in the scale of good Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Because the great thing about Gladiator versus Gladiator 2, which I know we're not even in that conversation yet, but
No,
it's
but will be.
it's the fact that there's actual intrigue, there's actual politics in play that are affecting
There's a lot of politics
that are
in both of those
affecting
movies.
character choices and things that are going on with every character involved, right? And then you move to Gladiator 2, and all that is white noise, and there just because it needs to be, and there's no substance to it.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter anyway in the end. So like, you almost need to have almost an episodic version of Gladiator that like gives you time to really invest in those
Individual
storylines,
characters
the
too.
politics of it all, what everyone is going on, and really take a bite that way, and I think that could be really good. That's how you get a good one right now.
Sure.
You almost need the same thing in like a medieval fantasy like epic that you're talking about. You need time, and Lord of the Rings had time.
A
It had
lot, yeah.
three very long movies to tell its whole
based
story.
off of 3 very long books.
Exactly. Yeah, agreed. But like you had all this time to tell your story.
Well, I guess more
You
than
know,
3.
if you took the Lord of the Rings films and broke them into episodes, you have 9 episodes of 1 hour shows.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So like,
yeah.
well, no, I'm not wrong.
Well, you would
movie's
though.
3
'cause,
hours.
Yeah, you get 9 hours worth of movie. It would
Yeah.
be,
You break that down into 9 episodes or whatever, and you know you could do the same for something like Rome or the Colosseum or the Gladiator.
They did like Rome's a show.
Yeah, but I said something good. You know what
Sure.
I mean?
Well, I mean, it's, it's very schlocky, but it's watchable.
That's the issue with the medieval side of it too. Is if you do episodic, which I've talked about this on some other things that we've done.
I'd watch this crap out of
about. Well, here's the thing though: how long before it devolves into Game of Thrones?
Mm-hmm.
And that that's a bad thing, okay? Because like at peak Game of Thrones, like that is A+ TV.
Oh, yeah.
But the other side of that is we have seen the bad parts of Game of Thrones where like this shit is unwatchable.
Yeah.
So like if you take something and be like, especially if you went for like the medieval magic side of it, I guarantee you it's Game of Thrones in 2 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's the problem with that.
Well, again, it's even off of probably that it's based on a successful book series, right?
True.
So it's like you almost need the skeleton of this thing already created for you before you start running it, because you need there needs to be focus on someone that has an actual like story to tell.
You set it in the future, got you.
I mean, listen,
no.
That's
that's
basically,
you do it.
That's basically Warhammer 40K.
Fuck yeah, it is. Let's go.
I'm down for that.
How much you want to talk about Warhammer tonight? A lot. Let's go.
So listen, I'm not opposed to it, but to bring it all back together, what is your do you have a favorite sword and sandal movie that you can pick?
So honestly, I mean, the cop out is Gladiator, but like it's the best one.
Okay.
So
I hear you.
I have I have an addendum to that. I have a
okay.
I don't. I mean, I think we're all forgetting 300.
I was gonna say I was gonna bring up 300.
Okay.
It's funny that none of us picked 300 off the bat.
But that's the thing is like 300 is so strong as a narrative, but it's also so linear.
Yes.
You know, it's like it takes place in the city, and then
it's
the
weird.
mountain pass.
It's weird that 300 has a simple story, has simple but effective character arcs, and has stakes involved, and it's a good film.
And violent, bloody action.
And you care about everyone.
And abs.
But you don't all the like every ab on the planet is in that one movie.
All of them. I see you work out. Would you like to be in this film?
But then what happened with the sequel? Like it just
it was bad.
The magic was gone. Like I think that's what we're seeing is like because
what was the other movie they did with that? The other Frank Miller. No.
Oh, okay.
The first Sin City.
Sin City,
yeah.
and
then they made a second one. Then it was like
Kill For, which was awful.
This is not good.
The thing is, I think we're learning that, and like I'll be the first to eat humble pie because like I argued with you guys. We talked about this, the 3 of us, about like I was hyped on the Gladiator II trailer, and you guys were like, "Let's pump the brakes a little bit."
Yeah.
So let's pump them brakes, and I was like, "There's no way this can be anything less than a fucking 9." Boy, was I wrong.
Listen, I didn't want to be right when we talked about that. I just saw it for what it was. You know what I mean?
It just seems like they're all. It seems like we're in a period where Hollywood is just. It's either that the talent is gone, or the bar has been lowered so low that we don't care about it. I think Netflix has a lot to do with that. I think just content over quality has a lot to do with that, and I think that's part of the whole Netflix era. But I mean, I don't need to blame them. I mean, all the streamers do it. They just pump out content like crazy. But I think there's a problem here because it's just. We'll talk about Gladiator 2, but bringing it back, I think Chris, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think Troy would have to be my favorite.
Okay,
like the one I enjoy watching the most, besides
Gladiator. You mean
if we're removing Gladiator, which I
okay,
because like that's the obvious best by a mile. But yeah, I enjoy Troy. I just wish it was better than what it was.
Well, yeah, it has its problems, but in the end, it's a solid movie with decent dialogue and like actual like character journeys that you care about.
Yeah.
From every angle too. Like you care about, you give a shit about what Hector has going on. You feel for them. Whatever. What's that other character? His name is like Leaf or something.
What?
Who is
Patroclus, Achilles' cousin?
No, the guy from the Pirates movies.
Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow.
The other guy.
Orlando Bloom.
Orlando Bloom. What's his character's
Paris.
parent? I said Leaf.
Leaf.
What in the world?
It's a. I know why I said that. It's a My Family D&D joke thing. It's fine.
Fair.
But like it's every character has like an interesting piece of the story, or things that you just hate, and it does a good job of fueling the whole way.
But
So
again,
I do.
again, it's written in a time before we lowered the bar, before all this stuff happened. It's written in a time of old Hollywood, because like the same people that wrote Gladiator, Scarpa and Franzoni, I think, wrote Troy.
I'm not a like expert or aficionado by any means. I'm just a dude who watches movies and talks about it on the internet. You should not listen to me at all. But like I believe a big piece of the issue in Hollywood right now is the fact that the bar has been substantially lowered,
and
the
no
price
one can write a goddamn script.
Well,
that's the
and
problem.
the combination at the same time is the prices for everything is so high. The cost of movie making is so high, and the bar has been lowered that even when you get a mediocre film created, it still costs $200 million to make.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Like those movies used to be $60 million to make, and then you got exactly what you paid for.
Yep.
Whereas when you had a movie that was big budget, $180-200 million, it was like holy shit, and it was awesome. It was Gladiator, right? Like that's
Gladiator
what that was.
Comes out and it fucking rules.
Yeah. So like I think that's a big piece of the issue is that standard's been lowered, that bar's down there, and even with that bar down there, everything costs so much more to make, and actors are more expensive now more than ever, especially if you want to grab the big name guys. Like we know Denzel got paid. We know that man got paid. Yep. You know what I mean? And it's like it's him, Pedro Pascal. That's a significant portion of your budget. It's a part of that number, and it eats into it.
Yep.
And then you have everything else got to pay for, like bad CGI. You know what I mean? Like
somebody's got to pay for it.
Yeah,
because apparently it's very expensive.
Let's talk about the original Gladiator from 2000 for a minute. Let's just talk about it for a bit.
Okay.
What an event that was to go in. I remember opening night at Carmike Cinemas at the local Carmike at the local mall, the Ohio Valley Mall. Holy crap, that was an event. My sister and I went. We also had my little brother. They sold more tickets because of the weird. I knew what they were. I figured out years later when I started working there their scheme, but they all made hundreds of thousands of dollars in the box. I mean, all those movie theater, all those, they made so much money. Those guys scamming the public.
Allegedly,
fine, allegedly, but like there were people sitting in the aisles. Well, I mean, I know the scam. I was told the scam. It's brilliant, but
allegedly.
But there were people sitting in the aisles. There were people standing the whole time watching the movie. But it was just that compelling that, I mean, I had some friends that watched it the next day said also there were people sitting in the aisles and standing. Like you wouldn't think people would do that. You'd think people would just leave and watch another show another time if there was no seating available.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it was just that big of an event that, I mean, Gladiator was an event, man.
I remember seeing Gladiator at that same theater. Mine wasn't opening weekend though, but it wasn't too far afterwards. It was through the week. Mm-hmm. The only reason I remember that was because I was with my buddies, and there was a storm, so the power actually flickered, kicked everything up and off. Ooh. And I remember because like all the lights come back up, it gets real bright when when the power goes out because it has to. And I remember somebody's like, "Get the movie back on. He's probably kicking somebody's ass right now." And like 19-year-old me thought that was the funniest shit in the world. Like, yeah, he's kicking his ass. Now I'm just like, I would have been like, "Shut the fuck up, idiot."
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
What about you, Chris? What was your first experience with Gladiator?
I back then our family didn't go to movies that often. It was a hassle trying to get. I didn't have a car back then.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Because you were a child then.
Exactly. Yeah. I was a little younger than you guys, and I didn't get to see it until like it was on VHS a couple years later.
Was it on two? It was on two VHSs, wasn't it?
I think it was two.
Gladiator. It may have been.
It was on one. It was on one.
Okay.
Either way, but like that's when I saw it, and I saw it on my grandmama's shitty ass tube TV, and
as Ridley Scott intended.
Thought it was the coolest goddamn thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
My cousin, who is my whole family likes medieval fantasy and things along those lines, right? But like one of my cousins, like me and him share that passion like very closely.
Sure.
And his whole personality became Russell Crowe from Gladiator for a while. Like it was it was kind of crazy how much like he loved that movie, and he like really took on like whenever we played D&D, he made characters around Marcus Aurelius and like theme along
Maximus.
those lines. Yeah. Maximus, and just any medium that could involve gladiators or characters of that nature, that's what he kind of gravitated towards for a
Sure.
while, and like for good reason. It's a fantastic film, and it's cool as shit when you're a teenager just full of piss and vinegar and stuff, and like that's something you get to what fuck yeah, that's cool as hell, man. And I felt that way when I saw it, and I'm glad now I've rewatched it many times, and every couple of years, every few years, it gets tossed on for some reason, and it's good every time. It's just a cool ass movie to watch.
So, do you guys want? I'm going to get a VCR. I have a VCR, and I'm going to get all these
Okay.
movies that I can find.
This is a weird confession,
on
but all right.
fucking VHS,
Okay.
and you should watch because like you can buy Gladiator on VHS for $6.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right now, just to watch it.
Get those
It's
weird
also-
like play lines on your
Yeah.
on your TV for a minute.
But get the full screen version, so you're not even seeing the.
No, God, yeah.
Holy
You
crap.
remember back in the day where you could choose between the full screen and widescreen? Like,
Yep.
What were we thinking?
Yeah.
Like, look, right now on eBay, I can get 4 movies together, and one of them is Gladiator, one of them is Black Hawk Down,
Oh God.
a movie called Black Rain, which I don't know that it is what
That's-
it is, and
that's,
something else. It's
wait,
$18 right now.
Black
Should I
Rain,
pull the
that's-
trigger?
That's Patrick Swayze. Yeah, of course, pull the trigger. Why not?
It's like, fuck yeah, you
Worth
should.
every penny.
I
yeah,
definitely
why-
have those other 2 movies on ultra high definition, though.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love watching movies on VHS. I've said this. I know I've told you guys this before.
Yeah.
I think it's a
But-
weird kind of lost art. But
Yeah. But I mean, Gladiator, just thinking about it in a vacuum, right? Like trying to ignore the fact that we just saw Gladiator 2 and everything.
Is that
Gladiator,
the same one?
that's the exact one. Yeah. Which explains a lot of things about my childhood.
Gladiator Eroticus, it's called.
God.
It's
My-
$15 right
What
now.
just happened?
Wait, that's more expensive than Gladiator? That's funny.
Yeah, dude, many times more than the Gladiator VHS.
But like, so talking about Gladiator in a vacuum,
Mhm.
it like the movie itself is like well crafted isn't even the right term for it. And looking back on the film now, like before they come into the show, we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'm surprised at how much crap it gets from critics. Did you guys check like Gladiator's Rotten Tomatoes score? Or
No,
Metacritic?
no, I
never.
actually didn't. What is
So
it?
it's not terrible, but it's not great either. It's
Well, the other part of it too is like with these older movies when they have Rotten Tomatoes scores, like
Mhm.
those are retro scores. Like
Exactly,
somebody's
yeah.
gone back and watched it.
yeah, but still like
'Cause, I mean, like we're reviewing a 24-year-old movie at this
yeah,
point.
but like I mean it's got a, let's see here, Gladiator has 80% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and then it's got a 67 on Metacritic, which-
Yeah, that's
I'm-
embarrassing. Come
which
on, now.
which I feel like the 80% on Rotten Tomato, I get that
I'm
one.
fine with, yeah.
Yeah. The 67 Metacritic seems low, right?
It
And
does. It's especially for that was a multi-Oscar
Yeah.
nominee.
Well, like there's like as I was looking up stuff, people were talking about how they don't understand how this movie was nominated for an Oscar, how it got any nominations, how it didn't deserve any of that. It didn't deserve Best Picture or anything along those lines. And like, I just don't understand where all the hatred for that movie comes from. From like
Because people love to hate what's popular. I think that's it. I mean,
if
hold
that's
on,
true,
but like,
if that's true, people would have hated Barbie. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
that's
Well, and
that's a
people
little
did hate
different.
Barbie for specific reasons. But I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
but not everybody. You know what I mean?
But I mean,
most
what-
most America loved it.
half of.
I didn't love it, but I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those. I'm sure a lot of the same comments are the same comments from Lord of the Rings, and we all know what I'm talking about. But those aren't reasons to dislike a film. Those aren't reasons to score it negatively critically.
Yeah.
Those don't make any sense.
But,
That's
like-
the problem with public. Anyone can do it.
Hmm.
Boards like that.
Well,
It's-
okay. Yeah, I got you. But like even so, I was just surprised to see that because like rewatching the film, in looking to talk about it this way, the dialogue in it is amazing. Not amazing, but it's really fucking good.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Right, like the conversations that are had, like you highlighted earlier, Grayson. Between Russell Crowe and the passing Caesar. Like
Marcus Aurelius.
like that dialogue, we didn't get a piece of that in Gladiator 2.
No,
Like,
nothing
like
at
it
that
never
kind of
happens.
Hold on. I sent you guys 5 conversations. I think
Yeah.
are the best conversations in the film. I don't think Gladiator 2 even comes close to. I mean, never even.
No,
I
not
agree.
even fucking
I
Never
agree,
even
but like,
comes close to
that's the
touching those.
surprising piece that like why people have like don't see Gladiator as this probably top tier action movie that you can point to from multiple decades, and why Gladiator wouldn't be in your talks of like one of the best ones to do it when we have the example of how to make a lifeless, soulless version of Gladiator. It's Gladiator 2. You know what I mean? And it's like the movie's good, the action's great, fantastic.
Sure,
The character development and the arc of Russell Crowe's character
it's
is
great.
amazing. And then you have an actual villain
A
that
great
has
villain, by the way.
huh
A great villain.
a great
in
villain
Joaquin
who
Phoenix.
who you can even understand his motivations.
That's
in
not just a crazy asshole.
yeah, I mean he's a crazy asshole, but
But
A
I think.
believable
and
crazy
yeah,
asshole. Is
yeah,
that what I'm
and
saying?
his
Okay.
reasons for it.
But here's the thing: is like he's also fun to hate because he's so good at what he's so
Yeah,
good at
yeah.
playing. Same with like Heath Ledger as the Joker. Like he's a villain, but goddamn, he's good at being that
Mhm.
villain.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a stark contrast to what's going to happen in Gladiator 2. We're going to talk about in a little while. Is like the what's I guess Ridley Scott was like, what's better than one crazy emperor? Two crazy crazy emperor.
Well,
So hold on,
But-
quick sidebar. So
Yeah.
in 2001, that's when Gladiator won Best Picture.
Okay.
So this is the 4 other movies it was nominated against. Now there's a couple of bangers in here, and I mean that seriously. Like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was also nominated
Okay,
that year, which
yeah.
is a legendary movie.
Yeah.
yes.
The other big one was Traffic, which
Traffic's
is
good.
a great movie.
Traffic's
the other,
good.
Yeah, the other 2 is a movie that's massively famous, not necessarily Best Picture. Aaron Brockovich,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
and the other one is Chocolat. So, like, those are.
Chocolat.
I mean, so with Gladiator taking that title, I could see why people would be like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I get that because, like, especially because, like, Crouching Tiger, like, what it did for martial arts films
Yeah,
and action
true.
movies
in the West.
for like
yes,
no,
in
I
the
mean,
West.
yeah, like forever since then is like everything spins off of that.
Mhm.
So like I could see why somebody would make an argument about it. But
yeah,
like
true. But even
individually though, Gladiator is still probably the better of the 5. I mean, to me, anyway.
I would say yes. Or It's to me, it's that or
Traffic's
Traffic.
good. Traffic's
Yeah,
real
yeah.
good.
That's the thing. Is like it's one of those two, but I think Gladiator edges it out because I think it's a more compelling movie than Traffic
Yeah.
was.
Well, like and just there are so many scenes that I feel like had substance and had purpose and led to the next thing or led to other story threads in Gladiator, right?
Well, there's no wasted time.
yeah,
And
okay,
here's
yeah,
the
I
thing,
agree
and
with that.
Gladiator is a long
It's a long
movie.
movie. It's like
Yeah.
it's
So,
it's
yeah,
in
that's
near 3
important.
hours.
It's
Yeah,
two and
so-
it's 2.5, and there's not
Okay.
1 minute wasted.
Yeah, I agree with it. And like even the characters that don't end up mattering in the end or fleshing out, like what's Maximus's gladiator mentor guy, like he's an interesting character and his like
Proximo.
yeah, and his dialogue is good. Like you feel like he cares. Like you feel you feel like that guy truly believes that the arena, the Colosseum, is where men can go to be reborn. You know what I mean? Like he believes that, and you can feel
He lives that life,
and
bro.
you feel that through the acting and his facial expressions. I can't find any of that in Gladiator 2.
No, well, I mean, you said it yourself. Gladiator 2 is a lifeless, soulless version of Gladiator.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
it's unfortunately that's what it is.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to compare Gladiator 1 to Gladiator 2 in the same way that I didn't want to compare Gladiator 2 to Gladiator.
Well, don't worry, I'm going to.
Well, but like it's just like talking about Gladiator itself. You don't need to talk about Gladiator 2 because like it stands on its own business.
Well,
the
yeah, I
whole
mean,
time.
here's the thing. There are very few movies, especially with that kind of epic, that you would place straight up that say are better than Gladiator. Like for the single character arc that you get for Russell Crowe
Mhm.
and the scale of the story that you're watching. Like even if because like Gladiator won the greatest honor you can get for a movie and winning Best Picture, right? Like that is the highest of the high.
Mhm.
With a movie of that sort of thing, like especially based around the Roman thing. Like there's nothing else really like that besides like Ben-Hur from 70 years ago
Mm.
that doesn't
Yeah.
really hold up the way it does
Or
now.
like
With Gladiator,
Cleopatra. Yeah.
sure. But Gladiator still 24, 25 years ago still holds up very, very well and still looks good, which
Yeah,
I
it
was
does.
really surprised at because I don't know about you guys, but I watched it in 4K.
Okay.
And like the CGI still looks pretty decent for
Yeah.
what it is, and which is something I'm going to fucking annihilate Gladiator 2 about. But like the one thing I did notice, right? In very Ridley Scott fashion, because I'd never really watched Gladiator like critically before, which
Okay,
I'm
that's
sorry,
fair.
I
Yeah, me
laughably
neither. Me
consider
neither.
myself a critic. Okay,
Yeah.
haha. But like I never watched Gladiator with the scope of how we watch movies at this point,
Mhm.
right? And like I noticed things that at any other time, because I've probably seen Gladiator 20 times in my life before this, like a bunch of times.
Mhm.
And like how much times you get a lot of people that are dip their head down, talk real fast but soft, and then very poignantly look up. You know what I mean? Like that happens so many times in this movie, and I'm just like, there it is again.
Yeah.
There it is again.
Yeah.
We're like, don't speak to me. Like that shit happens so many times
does,
in
yeah.
that fucking movie. Because I mean, and I think about it, like if I was critiquing Gladiator, like I'd probably go at it a little bit.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's just funny.
Yeah.
How seeing things that that are that old now, that how they hold up, and some of the things that I noticed is like it's very early 2000s, late 90s, fast
Mhm.
talking, quick motions, like that kind of thing. Even the fight scenes, because this is something that Gladiator 2 unfortunately emulates, is you get a lot of hard, quick cuts during
Yeah.
like slashing and fighting
Mhm.
in this movie. God, I can't stand that. Just give us the hierarchy view and let
Yeah.
us watch this fight play out.
Yep.
Please just do
Well,
that.
that's the Nolan Batman. It's style over substance.
Yeah.
Mm.
Instead of it should be substance over style. But that's like the quick cuts. You hear things happening, but you can't.
That's something that
Yeah.
that's something that I
Can't stand it.
argue that
Can't stand
Troy did very well, was having those actual like there of course there's quick cuts in Troy as well, but like the Hector versus Achilles fight especially, that like you get that roll that wraparound camera angle mid fight and stuff, and you get to see like those continuous shots of the fight like that happens in there, where Gladiator
Instead of snap,
1
snap, snap.
yeah 1 and 2 doesn't do that. However, I'll call something else out in Gladiator 2 that drove me nuts, that Gladiator 1 even did better than it, for fight scene stuff. But like to talk actually positively about the first Gladiator and like the fighting set pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every fight in Gladiator, you're waiting for Maximus to do the thing,
To prevail.
well, not even just prevail, but like how is he going to please the crowd? How is he? What's he going to do next? That's like awesome.
He's going to stab a tiger.
Well, stabbing tigers is one of them, but the iconic where he gets both his swords into the guy with the helmet and then does the decapitation, right?
Yes,
amazingly done in
fucking
Gladiator,
rad, bro.
and out of this world. Just like you felt the gravitas of Maximus, right? Like the dude was a machine, and that's how he built his name and ends up in the Roman Colosseum, blah blah blah. But like they even do that in the Gladiator 2, they have that scene where he does the decapitation essentially.
Same
same
thing. He
scene.
does the same thing. He spins the swords the same way.
And but here's the thing. It felt like, okay, we're going to do this thing because we're supposed to do this thing because the first movie did it.
Well,
but like it didn't mean anything.
Like, look,
Well,
brother,
let
you
me-
could have cleaved him right down the, and that would have been awesome.
Well, let me
funk.
let me ask you something. What if it's like because like Gladiator 2, it does, that stupid thing popped in my head about the Red Letter Media did the breakdown of the first of Star Wars episode 1, 2, and 3, and like he kept being like, George Lucas, it's like poetry, it rhymes. Like they played it over and over again to make fun of him, but like that popped up in my head a million times. But I actually give Gladiator 2 a pass for that, and I'll tell you why, is because the tagline from the first film talks about echoing things in the next life. So if this is the next life, then at least the next film, then I don't mind them being echoed over and over again. However, nothing that was done in the second film, as we're going to talk about shortly, is done nearly as effectively. You don't have any of the moments. I mean, the moment where he takes off the helmet, turns around, my name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commanders of the armies of the north, the Felix legions. Like
Husband
there's
to a murdered wife.
Yeah.
yeah,
Father to a murdered son. God, yes, tell him. Fuck that guy. Yeah. Kick his ass.
but you're never but like that's like in my mind why I was so excited was telling you guys is like because they have to top it and they didn't. You know what I mean? Like
They
that's the
have to.
thing.
They didn't even, brother.
They have to.
They didn't even get a foot on the beginning of the climb that mountain.
I was say they have to at least land evenly. They're not gonna top it.
I-
They got to come in at the same level.
because
Yeah.
like even the he sticks the swords in the dude as an example, decapitates him, and that's are you not entertained? Like that whole scene is like legendary at this
Dude, when
point.
he throws a sword, he just
like,
throws it
that's-
into the crowd.
But that comes
Wildly dangerous, by the way.
that comes
Not
two
recommended.
separate scenes in the second one. But I mean, it's
Yeah.
again like you remember that. I don't remember after 2 weeks from now. I won't remember. I don't think I'm going to remember anything individual from Gladiator 2. That's the thing. Is like I'll remember the movie as a whole, but I won't remember the scenes as well as. I mean, it's been 24 years, and I still fucking like it's Gladiator is seared into my brain. Those scenes.
I can think of more iconic scenes from Gladiator 1 than I can overall scenes from Gladiator 2, and I just saw Gladiator 2.
Sure.
But like
this
again,
week, yeah.
it speaks to the power and
Of
just
good script writing.
of
Yes.
overall just like the movie making that went into Gladiator 1. And here's the thing, a lot of it's the same team as Gladiator 2, so we can't say it's like different people, different passion, right? But I feel like
I can say it's the same people, different passions.
okay,
so,
okay,
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
fair.
absolutely.
But it's surprising that we don't have the same passion. You know what I mean? It's surprising we don't have the same push.
Well,
And
Franzoni wrote it. He wrote both, so I don't. But like there were so many different versions of this movie. They did an NC-17 cut for Australia. Obviously, it didn't test well because we didn't get it, but it does
Mhm.
exist. There's just so many things that I'm wondering. What I'm wondering is just the quality of the script is so bad that I mean, like someone
it's
without
noticeably different.
it's no, I don't think you have to sugarcoat it. It's just not great, and like
Yeah.
there's no reason to sugarcoat it by saying it's different. I don't think that's the. I just
Well-
think it's they just didn't put the effort into it.
Well, let's wrap up our talk about Gladiator 1 and we'll get into rocking and rolling on Glad 2 here. So like last thing I want to say about Gladiator 1 and we can move past unless you guys want to say anything else is like Gladiator, the original Gladiator is one of like the seminal movies in my like
Yeah.
upbringing. Like it's one of the first movies I saw when I was just like, this is awesome. You know, like it wasn't like the other one that I remember like sticking out in my mind was the first Matrix movie, which is around the same time frame.
Yep.
You know, it's just like this movie is different and it's better than things that I've seen before. And Gladiator will always stick out in my memory as something like I won't forget watching that movie.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I didn't
there.
realize how special that movie was
Yeah.
at the time that I watched it. You know what I mean? But like I didn't appreciate things the same way as I do now.
But even as an adult, some of those when you rewatched it, and then some of those scenes I sent you, you can see the
yeah.
heavy gravitas
Mhm.
that like they had. Like I mean, especially like the wonderful way that this is the last thing I'll say. Wonderful way that like, and they committed the one sin I hope they wouldn't commit in Gladiator 2. Like the one thing I hope they wouldn't do, they did was confirm a familial connection, which is what I hate it when they do that shit.
Okay.
Because if you remember, everything's about like everything in the early 2000s in these kind of films, and like for like up to like 2010 was about freedom, looking off in the distance, and it was about freedom. It was about freedom,
Yeah,
freedom,
yeah.
freedom. And the one thing I thought, like maybe if they were smart in Gladiator 2, they're gonna remember the sparks that Maximus started, and then now we've returned to finish the job. Nope, none of that. Nope, gone. Like we're not even. I mean, you guys know what the sin I'm talking about is. Like who they confirmed was someone's son. Who like in the first film was like,
yeah, we're going to talk about it in a
well,
minute.
the
Oh,
first
yeah,
film
yeah.
they have that scene where like they had him and Maximus and Lucilla had a relationship, probably based on copious amounts of sex,
Whoa.
whatever.
Copious.
But like that's the
Dang.
thing is like you never.
Bro.
And then later in the film, she says, "I've been alone all my life except with you," and then pretty much "I love you," but it doesn't say in such a hokey way. But you have that wonderful like Zimmer, which I think a lot of those scenes are arranged the way that they're arranged because of Braveheart. I think we have Braveheart to thank for Gladiator, but it's so much of it. I think is just it's so dependent on a good script
Mhm.
that. I mean, in the one scene that like I literally rolled my eyes at in the second, I'll tell you when we get to it. But there's a scene that I'm just like, what?
Well, don't say it now.
happened
Don't
here?
spoil it.
Yeah.
What happened here? But and then like the elevator ride up into the with the emperor and him is he's like, smile for me now, brother, and it's like, and that whole thing with, did your friend smile at his own death? Well, you must know he was your father, meaning you killed him. Like, so few words to say so fucking much that matters to us as the viewer.
Well, again, it was dialogue that mattered because the whole
Yes.
time that we watched the movie, we knew that his father loved Maximus more than him.
Sure.
We knew that was why he killed his own father. Like we know all these things, and at the very end of your movie, you have a line in it that's so simple, but it's just like one more little piece of going, hey, that friend of mine that I just talked about that you thought you were gonna talk some shit on, it was your dad.
Wrong.
It's like you should know. It's such a good like piece of line delivery that has payoff from the story, not line payoff for another
course.
line
Yeah,
earlier.
story
Of course,
payoff.
and then
Story that you
then
understand.
the masterfully way it's ended with Maximus kind of fading in and out of he's down, he's absolutely dying, but he's like, he's there for the fight, and he just whips that guy like it's nothing, like
Sure.
slaps him, he literally slaps him.
Yep.
And then like we get the whole like Lucius is safe, and then who will help me carry him? Is Rome worth one good man's life? And like there is so much there that they didn't capitalize on it. I laugh because how could you not? I guess is my thing. But I mean,
Yep.
saying that, we could go into Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Light
Yeah, I
it
think
up,
so.
buddy.
Man, and I'm sorry if I sound angry, but like I'm a guy who like.
Why are you angry, Grayson?
I'm disappointed because I have to agree that
It's not that I'm mad. It's that I'm just disappointed.
Look, if your mom said that to you,
This
that
is the
would
worst
hurt.
thing you could hear from one of
Oh,
your fucking parents.
God, yeah.
It is.
I'm not even mad. I'm just disappointed. Fuck.
Yeah, it's like the worst thing. Yeah.
Why
It's
do
going
I-
to be that way, huh?
Why
No,
do I
here's the thing.
care?
Like I have to,
Ah.
I have to eat humble pie with Roger and Chris because like they were right.
Well, no.
I mean-
So look. You don't have to do that. But like,
Yeah.
you were very excited for Gladiator 2, and like, look, I wanted this movie to be great, but like, I am so cynical now when I see things like this that I think it's a cash grab immediately. And
Yeah.
like, look, Gladiator 2 is okay. Like that's something I want to put out right now. Like,
Well, we can solve that real quick.
sure.
So let's pass or fail the movie.
Okay.
So I'll count it down. Grayson, Roger, Chris. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Pass or fail.
Oh, I'm off camera. Oh man.
I passed
Really?
the movie.
So
You
like,
don't-
look,
you
I am so close to
Yeah,
just
yeah.
doing this for the first time because like this is exactly
Yeah,
how
yeah.
I feel about this
Okay.
movie.
I think that's fair.
Because
Yeah.
like this movie to me it's okay.
Yeah.
And there's nothing redeeming about it though. Like nothing ever rises to the level of
Mhm.
Gladiator 1, which is I know it's stupid to say because you're not supposed to compare movies straight up against each other, but like this is a direct fucking sequel. I have to.
It's not even a direct sequel. It's more than that. They actually tie it to the first one.
Well,
Sure.
Like
it's a remake.
throughout the
I
whole
think it's-
thing, the story.
To me, it's a
So.
remake. It's a remake. Like
Yeah.
there are so many.
Well,
points where I'm like, this
it's
is a
definitely that, and it's not supposed to be.
Mhm.
But like, so Grayson, why don't you give out some who's all win this bad boy
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, hit that first.
Hit the particulars.
Well, just before I just want you guys to think about this. So the Rotten Tomatoes, real quick, is a 71 and 84. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm okay with that.
yeah, that feels about right.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm actually surprised.
What's the
it's
Metacritic?
quite that high
But you
on the
didn't
critic
pass
side?
it. But you didn't pass it, Roger. That's
Well,
what I'm-
no, I didn't. I didn't say. I said I wasn't surprised.
Yeah,
Mm. Okay,
What's the
fair.
Metacritic?
Well, the Metacritic is sorry, I don't have
probably a 50 something.
I don't think it's that high.
Oh, I think it's that. I think it's probably that high. It's
63.
63.
63. Okay.
That's
63.
hold on.
That's surprising.
That's That's 4 points lower than Gladiator from 3000, which multiple Oscar nominations, one major recipient, Best Picture winner. 4 points less. You people, what
Yeah.
are you doing?
Well, the big difference is now that I just pulled that up, the user score is 5.3
Hmm.
on Gladiator 2, 5.3, and then it's 8.7
Oh,
on
Glad one.
Gladiator.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes more sense.
Sure.
Yes,
You know what I
of
mean?
course.
That sounds more legitimate as a scoring difference. The critic, I can't see how critics could give this thing like in the 60s compared to like comparing it to Gladiator
Straight up
itself.
against Gladiator.
I know
1.
I know times are different. I know movie making's different now. I know movie qualities and standards might be
I would
different.
argue though the movie making isn't that much different because I just watched a remake of Gladiator 1 in Gladiator 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
fair enough.
I mean, like, I don't even mean that as a joke, but like,
Yeah.
there are scenes straight up that are
Oh.
the exact same.
Yep.
And it's like, it's not better. It's not for the betterment.
No.
Like, it hurts, man. Like, this movie could have been awesome.
It really could have
And
been. It should have been awesome.
it's just not there.
Yeah.
It just doesn't ring that
So,
bell.
so here's the thing. So the cast here's where like I kind of understand things a little better.
Okay.
Paul Mescal as Lucius, Denzel
Sure.
Washington, Pedro Pascal, Connie Nielsen, Joseph Quinn. Which it took me a second to realize. You guys know what other movie we just watched recently that he does really well in?
Who?
He's the guy in Quiet Place Day One.
Joseph Quinn?
Yeah, he's his eyes. I know
He's
those
from
eyes. are
he's
so
from
annoying.
his biggest thing is Stranger Things, right?
Oh yeah, yes, of course. But like we
Okay,
just
okay.
watched the
Yeah.
Quiet
And
Place
he-
Day One, which we
and he was
liked.
good in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Fred Hoekner is the other emperor. Is one of the him and Fred Hoekner are the two emperors. This is written by David Scarpa. I think the other one was also written by Franzoni, which
He
might
co-wrote
be
it, yeah.
might be the missing link here because Scarpa wrote the other one too. And I don't. And of course, directed by Ridley Scott. Now here is where I'm going to start to deviate my Ridley Scott like legendary status. Is I, look, I'm not. I've made student films. And I silly little things that we've done and we've had fun with, but I've never made a film. So this man is, he's been working longer than I've been alive. So in
Yeah,
that case, I respect the shit out of him. But
Mhm.
I just wonder what's going on in his head to release this because if there is no way that Gladiator 2 is up to Ridley Scott's standards, there's just not.
Mm.
I mean, you can argue with me till you're blue in the face, but it's just not up to his standards because he's done so many legendary films, Gladiator being one of them, and then there's this one. I mean, he's had some stinkers too. Don't get me. Every director
Sure.
does, but
Yeah.
so let's get into it. Then
Well, hold on. Who does the score? Because it's not Zimmer.
Harry Gregson Williams.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
he's borrowing. But the odd part is when the score is the strongest in this film,
It's when they reuse the
it's
old
where
stuff.
It's when they're using the Zimmer stuff. Of course.
That's
Harry
funny.
Gregson Williams must have been like, fuck, I want that because it's a paycheck, but I'm stepping into massive
Yeah.
shoes.
Oh,
How can I
yeah.
I
possibly
mean,
do
look,
this?
everybody's got to eat, right?
Of course.
gotta
I
eat.
mean, but so let's talk about Gladiator 2 then. And
Yeah.
I guess so the opening like 10 or 15 minutes to me is like, that's the height of this movie.
Yeah.
Is when we open on, we open
Somewhere
similar.
in North Africa.
We
Yeah.
don't get the
Undisclosed location, North Africa.
African colonists or whatever they call it, colonists or something.
Mhm.
We don't get the first one opens so strong with him rubbing his hand on the wheat field, and then it's all warm and it's got an orange glow, and that's where he wants to be. And then a sharp cut to him.
I thought they were in
standing-
Mexico for a second.
and then
Mhm.
him standing in.
You like that joke? That's
Yeah,
good.
hilarious. And then him standing in the stark gray Germania, like you can
Yeah.
tell right away where he wants to be and where he is, like where his mind is and where his body is. Like instant, without saying a word, you've told me so much, and I appreciate it. This one's not too different. He's touching earth, he's touching grains, he's probably touching wheat. I think that's what they're going for.
Yeah, it
is
was. It
wheat.
was.
His wheat, yeah.
And the wonderful score comes up, and then he's in love for about 14 seconds.
Yeah, well,
He's got 9 minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
And then that's the thing is, and then we start, which I think the opening battle sequence when Rome is invading this last Namibia, which is the last free territory of the African nation, as far as when this is taking place, I think is one of the better parts. The highest part of the film is.
That's a good action scene.
I
That's
think
for
so.
sure.
It's
And,
pretty
like,
good. Yeah.
We learn a lot. We learn the dynamics between these two people. We learn Pedro Pascal. We learn.
It's the only real action scene too that we get without a significant amount of CGI as well.
Well, sure, but it's also again it's playing on it's playing on the Germania. You have a
Oh yeah,
German-
no, I get
Sorry,
the yeah,
keep
I
saying
get
German.
that.
You have a Roman general who
Versus the
conquers,
barbarians, yeah.
who conquers, who then wants to go home and spend time with his wife, told he can't. Like if I said, this movie includes a general who conquers a territory for Rome but goes home. The emperor tells him he can't spend time with his wife. He gets into a scuffle. He then becomes a slave gladiator, and he has to work his way up in the ring to then fight the gladiator, or to then fight the emperors. It's like, which movie am I talking about?
Well, the thing is they took the character of Maximus and they
And
turned
they
into
split
2 characters
Sure.
in this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's which is kind of what I have the issue with because
Only kind of.
well, no. Well, the thing is, a piece of information that's a lot less known is Russell Crowe turned down Aragorn in Lord of the Rings to do this role.
I mean,
Or
he
to
probably
do
made the right
Gladiator.
call.
Sure, but I mean, whatever that may be. I mean, I'm sure his people were like, "Well, you have this thing with wizards and weird shit, or you have this wonderful script with Gladiator," But because I mean, look, before Lord of the Rings, everything was wizards and weird shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
True.
but the thing is, it's like
Still is.
you had this Gladiator made Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe was a star. Maximus was a piece written for a man that brought gravitas to the screen. I don't think Paul Mescal ever really pulls that off.
No,
and that's apparent right from the beginning.
And the problem with that is like it's an unfair comparison, right? Because like even if he was the level of actor that Russell Crowe turned out to be, because like look, we didn't know. Like Russell Crowe was basically nothing before Gladiator.
Correct. Correct, yeah.
And comes out just guns blazing in this awesome movie that everybody pretty much loves. Like with this dude trying to step into that role, like that's unfair to him because like the script isn't built for that.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
like he gets no real chance to shine.
No, he doesn't. But you know who was the original choice for Hanoi was?
What?
Timothy Chalamet. Imagine how different this movie would have been with Timothy Chalamet as a Paul Mescal rather than Paul Mescal. Imagine how different it would have been.
I don't think Timothy Chalamet could have put on enough muscle to play.
You know who Timothy Chalamet could have been in this movie though? One of the emperors.
One of the emperors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
The gods have spoken. Yeah. Or would he have been the syphilis one? I don't know.
He would have had syphilis for sure.
Fair. And a little monkey. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Why not?
I just read that before he started shooting it like that, but that blows my mind that that Timothy Chalamet was in running to play Hanoi right before Paul Mescal. It just blows my mind. But
I mean, like continuing forward, like I don't know. To talk as little spoilers for a few minutes as we can before we really tear this thing to pieces. Like positives of the movie for me are the fact that the physical hand-to-hand action is good in this.
Yeah,
sure.
It's fine, but like it's not
physical hand action good.
It's not spectacular, right? It's good, and you have a good bit of that in here. You have some interesting set pieces, big set pieces, and they're for the most part good set pieces. The set design is fantastic. I love a lot of like the Senate stuff or the inner workings of Rome. I know that's not your thing.
Well, no, I was going to challenge that though because 3/4 of the set pieces are still CGI.
True. But I'm talking about the actual physical set stuff we do get, right?
Well, like here's the thing: when they do the hand-to-hand fight in front of the emperors and like that party, that's rad.
Yeah,
like I thought that was cool as shit.
When
one of the best parts of the movie
near the end when Denzel's with the Senate and and like in that room, like all the different like braziers that are lit up on fire and all the statues, like that whole set looks amazing.
Sure,
that's cool as shit.
Cool.
Like a lot of that stuff is really good, and you do have interesting characters throughout this film, but in like the wrong, but they're all there for the wrong reasons. And doing the wrong things.
That's okay. That's fair.
Like
sure.
Denzel's character, I think he is probably the most interesting character, but that's because the script didn't make any other characters interesting. You know what I mean? Like Denzel's character is the only one that's allowed to like really like do some cool or interesting things, and even that's a bit weird at times too.
Well,
like
it's more than a bit weird.
Yeah,
he's the only one that deviates. He's the Proximo, and then he goes the evil route instead of the good route.
Yeah, but like it's one of those things where like I can't tell if Denzel's doing his own thing or if that was like direction that was given to him. I can't tell which one that is.
You know, they probably gave him a script and be like, "I need you to convey most of this any way you want."
Which explains why he had a New York accent for some of it.
Sure,
which is really weird in Rome. Yeah, like it is what it is, but like those are all like I think that are like okay things about the film. I think the whole idea of the Twin Emperors is a cool idea. It's not executed well.
Well,
you know what I mean.
They're real though. Those
I know.
Real,
yeah. Can I ask a question about the emperors though? Because like it's something I felt like they didn't bring up enough of, or like how were those two the ones that came to power?
Well, that's the episode. That's the Star Wars Episode 7 curse. Is you tell us they're in power, But
Yeah.
you just that's it. Like
Yeah.
You don't tell us
Priscilla
how
come
they
back?
get there.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't tell us how they get there, how they became the ones, because like the entire story can be circumvented to be like Drusilla would have been the one in charge, yeah, and then her firstborn would have been the emperor.
yeah,
Okay,
Lucilla. Yeah,
yeah. Oh, what did I say? Drusilla. Okay,
yeah.
whatever. Sure,
It
but
doesn't
yeah,
matter.
you know when you go down that route, you have to be like, well, who the fuck are these other two guys?
Yeah, where'd they come
who
from?
are like based
Yeah.
off of real emperors,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
something I understand and I get that, which is a cool concept, but like how in 20-25 years do we get from here to here? And like there's this big gray chunk.
So what's crazy is the 25 years is our timeline.
Yeah.
This movie has a time jump that's less than the time it took to make this movie, which is
Sure,
also
it's
kind of
only
crazy.
like what is it like? They say like 16
years,
Yeah.
and we're like 20 some years for this movie to be made.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
actually, we know because of this movie, the first movie takes place in 4 years. 4 years. Because remember at the beginning when they're talking about how old their children is, they both say my son is 8.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah,
and then and this one, the guy,
He's 12.
the fat politician said, "Oh, he was 12 when he's unless it was a mistake. I don't know,
Yeah.
but that seems
Well,
like a pretty
given the
big
fact that they didn't
glaring
fact check a
error.
lot of other shit in this movie, this
Yeah.
could have been a
Fair, I mean,
mistake.
yeah.
Like they didn't watch Gladiator 1. They read the cliff notes and were like, I can do this.
It's just one. Yeah. So I mean, I have a hard time thinking that first film takes place in 4 years.
Yeah.
I don't think Maximus would.
Well, here's the thing. If you told me it took place in 2 years, though, I wouldn't argue that, because if you think about the journey that they take in one, from, him being in Germania to a slave all over the territories that he ends up with, even before he gets back to
Rome.
that absolutely could have been a year and a half,
yeah.
right? That wouldn't have been crazy.
Yeah, 2 years. Like travel would have taken forever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
I could believe that.
which is a real problem that I have with this movie.
Yeah.
Is like this dude can teleport on a horse. I need you to ride to Austria tonight. Excuse me? What?
Ostia. Well, Ostia is also like. It seems to me they were like, "Oh, Ostia! I remember someone said something about Ostia in the first film. Put it in again. Let's
Yeah.
That's poetry. It echoes. Get it? It's
Stable boy, fetch me my teleporting horse. The one that can blink great
ride
distances.
like the wind.
Well, but like that's the thing. I don't know how far outside of the city gates Ostia is.
Yeah.
But it can't.
I mean,
don't
I
think it's
assume
that
that's
far,
the
but-
mountains.
Sure.
Rome
okay, well,
isn't near
maybe.
the mountains.
Sure. I mean, I have no idea one way or the other, but you're right. I think there's some liberties taken here with which I can forgive because that's just a movie thing to do. when
Sure.
You have to.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. Well, I agree with what you say in some things. It's like I'm not cutting this movie any slack because, like,
No,
it
no.
doesn't deserve it. Like it doesn't do a good enough job doing the baseline stuff for me to be like, oh, I can forgive that or I can forgive this, because like all you did was copy the first. It's like a bad Xerox of the first movie. Like
Yeah.
you don't get slack for that. You didn't do anything original.
Well, original or not, I just the story is exceptionally weak for what I thought was going to be a very strong, tight story.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
it's not strong or tight.
Well,
No, that's my problem.
the movie is missing a focused protagonist, because whether like they tell us that he is focused, they tell us that he has a goal, they tell us that he has that like he's as good as he is because of these circumstances, but in the end they never show it, and when they try to, it's not believable.
Sure.
One of the problems I have with Gladiator 2 is they mentioned the whole rage thing, right? Which was mentioned in an underlined way in Gladiator 1, whereas in this one it's definitely an uppercase, bold, and underlined version of the word rage, right? Denzel Washington's character like hones in on it and tells the audience that his character is full of rage.
Yes.
And here's the thing: I didn't buy that for a second. Like there's not a single time in a single fight that this guy's in where he is this rage-fueled machine.
Oh, he's
of a
way
man
too
killing
calculated.
people. He's calculated, yeah, but like he's not ferocious. He's not vicious. He's not rageful. He's not getting stabbed in the side. The stab is missing, the major internal arteries, and he's like fighting people while stabbed. Right? There's nothing.
He does bite a monkey, though.
He bites a monkey. Okay, you know what
That's
I mean.
how you get rabies
and syphilis, but like
and
it's-
syphilis.
But it's like show me the rage that you're talking about, because I never saw it. There's like one part where he screams at the monkey, but like in all of the fights that he's in, he's not like this machine of he's not the Hulk without being green on screen.
Yeah.
He's not getting his ass beat and fighting through the ass beating. He's like just in a fight, and he ends up beating a dude.
He's just a big dude that wins
Yeah.
a fight.
Yeah, exactly. And
I
like,
don't think, but I think he's very calm and calculated, like
yeah,
Maximus. I
but
think
that's
they told him sound like Russell Crowe the best you can, and they were like,
yeah. But my point is, the movie tells me he's full of rage.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
never
yeah,
saw it.
no,
That
I
Macronus
agree with you.
definitely says that your rage is
I
your gift.
I agree with you, but like it's what makes me mad is it's like the same. It's the same thing with like he's living a life on his own, and then something happens. His family's taken from him. Not only is like this in the same fucking way, he gets whacked over the head with something. Which
Yep.
why wasn't it a blade when they were?
Yeah, right.
Questions that are above the script. I don't know, but he gets whacked in the head, falls in the water, the same way that Maximus gets whacked in the head and his family's killed. It's like, and to me, the character I don't care about, and you guys might disagree with me, is like I think is completely useless. Could have been cut out. Was the general?
Well, so okay,
Pedro Pascal's character.
I have some stuff to say about the general, right?
Okay.
Well, I don't think that I don't like. Look, I think Pedro Pascal is a great actor, and I think he plays this role very well. But I agree with what you're saying, Grayson. And the other part of it is I don't understand why Marcus Achaeus, which is the general here, why are we supposed to hate this dude?
We're not.
You know what I mean? Because I would argue that the story would want you to hate him at first until like he has his like his turn, his baby face turn, like some weird pro wrestling moment.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've always loved you. I loved your mother. And we're supposed to be like, oh yeah, we forgive this guy. Like I never thought this dude was bad. Like this dude just wanted to go home.
Well, I have a counterpoint. Is just real quick. Is Chris? You can say. We'll give me a second. Is I think as soon as he leaves Africa, as soon as he's like, I claim this city for the glory of Rome.
Yeah.
And like he said, like it's not that he's delivering the line in a lazy way. He's like,
no, he's ready. He's tired. He wants to go home.
He's over this shit. He's done with it. Like he's done with the
tired,
killing.
boss.
Boss, so tired.
That's Green Mile, isn't it? Good for you.
Yeah.
Tired, boss.
He's tired of it. And like I don't think you're ever supposed to hate him. Even when he goes home to Lucilla, like you're supposed to. Okay, now she's involved with him. We like her, so we like him.
Do we like her though?
Yes, you're supposed. Yes,
we're supposed to.
I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
Wait. Why don't? What's your argument for not liking Lucilla?
I think she's a shitty mom.
Okay.
I mean, like for real.
Roger just dropping truth bombs on this one.
As a parent, she's a bad one.
Yeah.
She just sent her kid somewhere else. Yeah, of course.
No, like, look, I understand that part. But she should have been the one to go get him back.
She never followed through on the whole "I'll find you" thing.
No, I'm going to send a bunch of armed Roman guys back after you to get you. What the fuck was he supposed to do?
Yeah.
They don't know.
Yeah,
it's not like you text and be like, "Hey, I'll pick you up at the port at 8:30." Like you didn't get that text.
Yeah,
didn't get the smoke signal. Wasn't read.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Damn.
Didn't get the tweet. Yeah, that's to me is like the whole thing that they connected, and this is the whole thing of who he turned out to be was like such a fucking eye roll to me.
Well, so yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, right? As eye rolly as this presented to us, were you surprised by it? Because I certainly wasn't.
Well, like they foreshadow it like 8 minutes into the film.
Again,
like what do you mean?
You've already said it once today. They ham-fisted things into the story.
Yeah,
for no fucking reason at all.
Yeah, it all feels clunky. Like it feels like
it's incredibly clunky.
Yeah, it's just. They want you to be like, oh, I care because it's Lucius, blah blah blah. Like,
right. I want to make a statement here. How spoiler do you want to be from here on out?
I would argue not very, but
I think there's a point where we kind of have to in order.
I know we talked about this, but in order to talk about certain story points in any film, you have to talk about points.
Kind of feel like we need to because like there's some stuff I really want to go at this movie for that will be spoilery.
Well, then, let's cover a few quick hits of the major things that we can not spoil.
Okay,
like the major things that we definitely think are problems, things that we do that or things we find redeeming. And then we can give the
spin off. Okay.
Yeah, then we can give the whole spoiler thing. Okay. So I'll start. So some really big problems I have is the way that we arrive at character arcs and how the characters change drastically all of a sudden. And without spoiling anything, we have multiple characters that do this. We have we have our main character cares about getting to this general so bad,
Yep.
right? And then there's a point in the movie where he is in front of the general
He can kill him, has him.
and can do exactly what he said he wanted to do, and then we don't. But like there isn't like this build up to that. There's no scene that puts these two together to where they like Pedro Pascal's the general can start pulling at his heartstrings. It just happens literally in a flash.
One line of dialogue.
And then everything's like, oh, okay. And then like, and that doesn't matter. Trust me. And so like, that's a big problem. We have another character who's confronted with, who tells you how much he hates this person, hates them. And then not even 7 minutes later in the film, they're cool now.
Yeah.
You know, like screaming at this person that they'll never care about them. And then like they're dead to them. And then does a turnaround and they're cool.
Well,
It's things like this.
But that's the
you
thing
know?
is that's when I talked earlier, like that's one of my most hated scenes. I think you're talking about a scene involving Connie Nielsen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Lucille
Yes, he
is
is.
like
100%.
that was because of the dynamite. Every word mattered in the first script, and it was all very poignant and had a meaning.
Mm-hmm.
I expected scenes like that to be like get the hair on the back of my neck to stand up. But when that happened, I was like, is that really what I just saw?
Because of what you went, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because
No.
I mean, like he yelled at her. I think he showed more rage in that moment than
Than any
than
fight
he did
scene?
in any fight scene that he was supposed to be a
Fight scene that he
rageful
did,
monster.
Sure.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he's a bad son. She's a bad mom. That's
Yeah. I mean, listen, I would argue he's an average son.
Yeah. Another thing I didn't like
Go ahead, Chris.
that I think I'm going to get you guys to agree on is I think the villains that were presented with the emperors are one note and terrible and like the worst written. They're the worst written things in this film. Well, here's the thing: why even have them?
I think they're hilarious.
I mean,
like, I'm not even kidding. Like when they're
hilarious isn't
bitching at each
good.
other, like I think it's funny as shit.
It's to the fact where like they're really evil dudes, and they really want you to know that these guys are like evil.
Yeah, these guys suck.
They're like
Well,
comic book characters in this middle of this sword and sandal epic, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Well,
Can I
offer a
point?
point? My point is like if they were trying to use it to drive a point home of how corrupt Rome had really become since Marcus Aurelius. It's like that's the or the counterpoint was someone was like Ridley was like, God, he's not really a strong enough villain, but I need to turn this script in 2 days. And someone's like, well, you could just,
make another one.
Add two. Make them be brothers and both crazy. And he's like,
yeah,
do it.
Hell yeah.
Do it.
Well, it's like it's like if that was one character that was like super kind of into the whole, I am a chosen of God thing, because the like Caesars of Rome believe that, by the way,
that they are chosen.
Yeah, 100%. So like you could have, because like what they did was they took this character that believes he was chosen by God to bring war and to be the greatest legacy of Rome's history, and was also going batshit crazy because of syphilis and other things, and was just a generally underlined evil dude who would just kill people that got in his way. But they took that character and they split him into two people.
Yep,
is all they did, and they made them insufferable on screen as well. Like maybe that's what they wanted. They wanted you to hate these two kids.
Yeah, I mean they're hateable,
but like it's just it's in this cartoony way. Like the whole time, one of the coolest fight scenes, not coolest, but one of the most visceral fight scenes is when they're fighting in front of these two, right?
Yeah,
well, like for no reason, just risking their best gladiators all of a sudden, like for no fucking good reason besides maybe to put this other guy in debt. But like that scene is really good, fight wise. But those two in it were terrible. Like here's the sword, I want death, and like it's just like why? No. Like this is stupid. And also movie mistake. Or thing that bothered me in the movie at the very beginning of that fight, our main character, I can't remember his name now for some reason because of an H.
I know.
Yeah. Like tells the other gladiator, let's not kill each other for their entertainment, brother. Right? Yeah. He says that right, like right before, and then after, when one of the emperors at the end of the fight wants to talk to him, like the one guy's like, he can't speak, he only speaks his native tongue. Bitch, he just told that guy in front of everybody, let's not kill each other. You know what I mean? Like that's like a movie lapsing. That's an editorial thing. Like, hey, this line doesn't work here because he talks He talks, and then someone tells him that they can't talk.
I would argue that that's not. Denzel does the. I think Denzel does the Tom Cruise thing in Valkyrie is like by saying what he says about what do you speak? I speak all of them. Like that just kind of says, okay, well, no matter what anyone says in this movie, we're gonna hear English. It doesn't matter what they're speaking, or that's what we're gonna hear is English. So I think that's how they corrected that. At least that's how I took that line from Denzel's character.
Yeah,
that's why it was there. So it does make sense later.
I mean, yeah, if you want to say
your point is a valid one.
I mean, you're saying that Denzel Jedi mind tricked the Emperors. I'll accept it, but like it's still it's bad movie form to me.
But
it's not a great movie at all. That's for sure.
His character, another one like that, I couldn't stand. Was Denzel's character because
Macronus,
which
is a terrible name, by the way.
Which I think is also I think he did usurp the twins and take power.
It's hard not to like his character because Denzel's playing it.
Sure,
and Denzel's likable
because he's Denzel.
Because he's fucking amazing.
He's so charismatic. But like it's the whole thing of like the level of manipulation that happens in this movie. It's like it's so comical because it's not possible.
It's scalable.
Well, it's not even. It's scalable.
Sure,
it's not only scalable. A lot of his plan comes through because of happenstance.
Yeah,
sure.
And that kind of bothers me too. Like he promised him the general's head. Okay, cool. The only reason why that happens is because he happened to overhear some shit that went down.
Here's one line of dialogue
from someone else who's like fucking like
Maid was hiding.
Yeah, Maid also heard it and then told the wrong dude. If that never happens, he never delivers the head.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, I mean, like, no way Lucilla would have been that fucking stupid to say that out loud.
Sometimes you don't notice that.
So we need to pump the brakes here. So like, is we gonna be like that gonna be like a stopping point for like spoiler time?
We can do one more thing. We can hit the CGI.
Okay, sure. Okay,
I would like you to lead the charge.
I would lead the charge with this. So I will argue, and this is something that I have talked about in many other things that we have done together, and already to the point from one of our previous episodes of this show about CGI getting worse and worse and worse. This movie has some of the worst CGI scenes that I have seen in a long time. Now, like, look, this movie doesn't have a monster budget. I don't know if you guys know what it was. It's about $100 million. Okay.
That's surprising, actually. But
it is.
I think it's 250. Actually, I just read that it was 250. One of us is right, but one of us that we both can't be right.
No way.
No,
we 250 is a drastic amount of.
No, it's like 103.
The first one was 103 exactly. So you might be.
No, maybe I was looking at one.
Maybe you're mixing them up.
Maybe I might be. That's fine.
Holy shit! I hope it's 250.
I hope it's 250.
I hope it's 250.
I'm gonna be less nice.
I hope it's 250.
Gladiator.
Holy shit! It says 310.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Oh no!
We need the monkey gift to play.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Yeah. I thought it was higher than that.
God damn it!
Yep.
310.
Fuck me.
Okay, talk about how.
Okay, so like, look,
how there's room to forgive it.
This movie has some of the worst CGI I've ever seen, especially for a movie that costs as much as fucking Avengers Endgame.
Oh my god, he's right.
So like, there is a scene where they have a ship battle inside the Colosseum, which the concept of that is incredibly
cool,
awesome.
Actually,
fucking rad.
I don't mind that being there because that's something that Rome had, that the Colosseum
they said
has happened, right?
They said that it could do it.
Yeah.
So like the idea behind that is rad, but the water. All CGI, and this is not a CGI sharks in this water, which I guess of course they would have put it. The sharks are terrible.
The sharks are bad, and
absolutely terrible.
The sharks make no sense.
No,
why do you need the sharks,
brother? It ain't salt water in there.
Well,
yes, exactly. No, Roger's
you didn't
right.
Think about that, did you? No, you didn't.
Roger's right. It's
but like what are we watching here, right? So like we're watching a ship battle. Dude gets hit by arrow. Yep. Dude falls into water. Right, dude's dead. We know this. He's been shot by an arrow. He's off the boat. He's fucking dead.
We have to watch him get torn up by.
But now let's watch a little bit of fucking weird shaky cam and some blood show up in the water and a shark fin. Woo! That made it better. Like what?
But
like,
even to the point though, they make it so much of a point to see how many sharks are in this. When they do like this overhead, like the fucking Goodyear blimp style shot, like the overhead, like
I'm playing GTA 2 again.
Like there's like 8 of them. You have to make a point. There's not only just one shark.
There's 8 sharks.
And they're all hungry. Like they're all like ravenously hungry.
So
I want you to think about the logistics of them getting a shark from the ocean. Hold on. alive.
8 sharks.
Wait,
8 sharks.
How many slaves died to get 8 sharks in the Colosseum?
Hundreds of them. Like
Every
they didn't put them
time.
in a fucking aquarium. You know what I mean? They didn't
True.
throw them in the back of a semi truck
you
in like a.
know-
No.
You know when the orders come down, they're like, "Oh, we're filling the Colosseum. We need sharks." They look at the slaves.
The emperor says we need 8 sharks. Somebody goes, "Fucking 8."
8?
8.
I
then-
can get
and
you
then-
2.
Where are we supposed to get 8 from?
No, he looks at his piece of papyrus and he's like, "I need volunteers, or I'm gonna start telling people they got to do it." They're just like, "Shit."
Larry, they want fucking 8 sharks.
Larry.
How do you get 8 sharks?
I don't even know where you'd get them
Okay.
because, like, I don't think those waters would have the sharks, would they?
Oh, the Mediterranean does have
Yeah,
sharks.
it would.
It is. Yes. Okay.
Fair. I stand corrected.
But it is not full of salt water. I'm telling you right now. That's from a river.
Yeah, fair. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so that CGI is terrible. Now, there is worse CGI in this movie.
Mhm.
At the very end of this movie, and I'm not going to spoil the ending. I mean, I will here in a few minutes.
Yeah,
but,
in a few seconds.
like, there are massive armies accumulating at the end of this movie. It is 100% CGI, except for like the first column of people,
Yep.
and it looks awful. Okay.
Is it really? I didn't know. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's
If you look,
real bad.
Yeah, you can tell.
So like years and years ago, I got into the Total War franchise
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
so PC games, which legendary games, big deal.
Yep.
The very first one that I attached myself to was Rome
Mhm.
Total War.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This looks like a terribly upscaled version of one of those fight scenes where they all just come like spilling over the mountains.
Mhm.
Because at one point, nobody's on the trail anymore.
Yeah.
They're just wandering up the hillside. You wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be doing that.
Nope.
And it's like, then the guy like sits down his terribly CGI'd waving banner. I'm just like, oh my God, it looks fucking awful.
Mhm.
Like it's unforgivably bad
Yeah.
in this movie. Unforgivably bad.
$310 million.
Sure, 310.
Well,
Or like
let's
like
go
the
with
shots
250.
like
Let's go with 250.
the big sweeping shots of when like Rome is on fire that one night.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
You can render that now in AI.
So bad. So
Yeah.
bad.
and they probably did too.
No,
Oh,
I doubt they did.
Well, because it wouldn't have looked as bad.
It would have looked better, and it wouldn't have cost them nearly as much.
Nope.
It's fair.
Yeah,
It's so bad.
Well, speaking
Guys,
of
thoughts
those-
on the CGI? Like, I mean, you guys had to have seen it.
No, it's of
Oh,
course it's
yeah,
It's
no.
like the monkey is. You can almost see the frame by frame movement of the monkey at times.
Yeah,
It's
you
like-
can almost see.
yeah.
You can almost. See,
Oh, I didn't even talk about the monkey
You can
fight.
al- yeah,
like when
you
they're
can
fighting the
almost-
monkeys in the Colosseum. Horrible.
You can almost see the like the wireframes like
Yeah,
in the movements of the
Well,
monkeys.
somebody made the choice too in this movie to
Make
not
them
only have
naked.
them fight like pissed off baboons,
Make them naked.
but to make them have no fur.
Make them naked baboons.
And
Why?
and one
What's
is,
did
scarier
he
than a
do this?
baboon?
and one
Naked
is bitten.
baboons.
Yeah.
Yeah, hilariously.
Yeah.
But
Broke his teeth though. That was really cool to
Yeah.
see on screen in slow mo. I bet that was great.
that's the thing is I don't understand is like you made an idea that you're gonna have these guys fight baboons. Okay, sounds cool because like tough fucking monster tough animals like
Yeah.
pound for pound would
Yeah.
whip your ass
Mhm.
for real. Savage beasts.
Depends on who you ask.
Where did their fur go? Why is it
They
gone?
let him shave them.
Look, I don't.
They could
look,
drug
Yeah,
them.
clearly.
They had
The
opium.
same guy that had to go get 8 sharks had to shave the fucking baboons. Larry, they want them shaved.
Larry, they want these shaved.
You know, Larry's like, I hate my life. I hate it.
Larry's overworked and underpaid.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Colosseum to burn down. I don't care. I fucking hate it here.
Well, you know what? When it burned down, he had elephants with water, though. I guarantee.
That's
He had
right.
I bet he had 8 of them.
Larry, we need 8 elephants with water. Larry's like, I haven't slept in 7 days. I need to sleep.
I'm tired, boss.
You know, Larry got the rhino too. You know,
Yeah,
what I mean?
So,
he's our
okay.
guy.
I did think the rhino was awesome.
Yeah, right.
And it
yeah.
actually CGI wise didn't look too bad. But
Yeah.
like when they walk into the scene where like they have the rhino head on the table for eating it, I was like, I want to eat some fucking rhino.
Yeah, right.
Right? Yeah. You tell me you wouldn't have a piece?
I've had some. No, I would. I've had
You
some.
know what?
weird
You know what
jerky.
bothered me about the rhino scene
What's that?
was where did all the other gladiators go? And one friendly gladiator tossed our guy a shield and then disappeared again.
He just vaporized.
What? Like, where did they go?
Why was
So-
no one else helping?
Why was he not like, guys? The folks.
So yeah,
gonna fight these things.
their whole goal was for all of them to get out alive to move on. It's like
Yeah.
basically, so it's basically like a tournament, right?
Yeah.
Is you fight until you lose,
Mhm.
But if we keep winning together, like we don't have to fight each other.
Yeah.
Like we may have to fight solo, but we won't have. I never have to fight you.
Mhm.
But like if you help me and I help you, like we're good.
Mhm.
No, I'm gonna bust up the rhino myself
What?
because I'm awesome and I can do like fucking LeBron James magic. And he's just laying there. Like, also, did he get hit by the rhino? Because clearly it's implied that he flips through the air.
So yeah, so I think he got hit by like the side of the rhino as he was jumping away, like its girth. Like
Yeah.
it knocked him away. But but it was like explosion cartoon style.
Yeah.
So
Like,
I don't know.
Bam!
I like how the one guy, how like he's like, stay together, stay together. Last second we'll separate, and that's how we survive. The one guy's like, cowards.
Yeah.
And then like he proceeds to get
It's like,
fucked up.
He's like, I can take this rhino.
What are you gonna do, dude?
I can take this 12-ton savage animal
Like-
running at me with a fucking gore horn on it. That's the
And also when
who's that guy?
yeah.
and also when he comes at him, he runs in a straight line in the same direction the rhino's running. It's almost like the cartoon like Briscoe County Jr. when he would run in the desert on the train tracks away from the train. Just step
Yeah.
off the fucking tracks.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you're fine.
Yep.
Mhm.
Just step out of the way of the rhino and he's gonna run
Yeah.
right past you. What's
You don't
the
have to
problem?
do that, man.
Yeah.
You're making the wrong call.
Cowards. Fucking gourd.
And then he just gets smacked by a fucking rhino. Like, what did you think was going to happen, dude?
God
that
damn.
whole, but like that sequence isn't bad. Like that fight sequence when
That
the
one's
dude,
okay, actually.
when the dude gets off the rhino, like that sequence is actually, I mean, that's meant to be the Tigress of Gaul fight, I guess. If you're mimicking the
Yes.
other film, that's the
Yes.
Tigress of Gaul.
It
But like
is.
that was okay. Like the hand to hand, like the weapon to weapon stuff, the choreography was okay. Chris,
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Troy because I mean, I recognized all those moves from Troy. Every single one of them, the sidestep and the swipe, like especially like the one thing that like I think Troy contributed to the film community more than anything was the noise, like the
Yeah.
like the sword, like that. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
The slices and the jabs. They were all through this movie too. But I thought that was really cool when we actually got to like hand to hand choreography. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Like when the general
Yeah.
was
Okay.
fighting those
Fair.
four.
Oh, when he just cuts through those dudes
Yeah.
like a badass.
Yeah.
Again, that shouldn't have been. That shouldn't have been. He should have had to fight like 3 waves of Praetorians. The line should have been given to him, but for some reason, Hanno got the line about, "Is this how Rome treats its heroes?" It's like after that incredibly. I imagine what happens there without being spoiler. What happens when the general and Hanoi are in the ring in the Colosseum? I imagine that scene was supposed to be in their mind as iconic as the "I am Maximus Decimus Meridius," blah 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 blah. Like, but like, no, I'm serious.
Not
Because
even
what-
on a scale that is even imaginable.
Well,
Does it not work?
I agree with you. I agree with you. I have like a million questions based on the stuff we saw in that scene too. It's like, how would you feel being one of those bowmen forced to look at thousands of people with 5 bows?
I would just go home.
Yeah.
Just leave.
So
Fuck it.
that's another like that leads me to another like complaint I have. We're told that the people are starving, but like
Yeah.
they never show it.
No,
No,
never
not at
show-
all.
never show it.
Like
No,
like,
you do get some unrest.
yeah.
But we don't get any like.
But the unrest is because people are starving, is what we're
Yeah.
told, right? But
Sure.
like, we never get people on the streets like begging for food. We never get people starting small riots because like there's like a place runs out of food that's supposed to be giving them bread.
Yeah, or they're
like-
stealing stuff.
Yeah, like we never get that. Like these are things that were left out. Like, well, we need the Snyder cut just to have like the story even make sense.
Mhm.
And like it's just, I don't understand why they didn't want to show us these things. I know your movie's already long, but I mean maybe cut out an entire section of this film that we don't need, or remove characters that are
Well,
inconsequential in the end.
I'm
to
glad
make
you
room
brought
for
up
that stuff.
I'm glad you brought up that because Kingdom of Heaven is a movie that people said when it came out theatrically, it was terrible.
Yeah,
when the
that's a good movie.
when the director's cut came out, it's like noticeably like 25 minutes longer. People say that's what made it a movie. So maybe, look, I am hoping beyond hope that when we get the director's cut of Gladiator 2, it'll finally be a movie that is worthy of the name Gladiator.
All right,
I'm just
I
saying,
thi-
because you
hold on.
brought that up. Because you brought
Hold on.
that up.
I think on that point, are we good to go into spoiler territory?
I think so.
I think so. So just FYI, if you're listening to this right now or watching the show, from here on out, if you don't want to hear anything else about Gladiator that's going to be spoilery, we'll see you next week talking about Moana.
True. 3, 2, 1. I don't think so, Grayson, because here's the thing. Even if they do give you the 25 more minutes version of this movie, you still have the main character is the whole Lucius thing, and fucking nothing happening that you give a shit about that. They just use it to use it, and there's no big payoff for it. You don't care about any of the people involved in there along the way. I don't think we get a better version that's 30 minutes longer. Because
I don't think I care about many of the characters in this movie as it is.
That's what I mean.
No,
Like
no, I don't care about any.
the execution's so bad on this, and it's very, again, ham-fisted. Like, here you're gonna like this because this happened in the first one.
The only
Like that-
character
we don't like this guy.
The only character I
doesn't help.
was the first casualty of the film was the woman. Like that was I was hoping. It's like I was hoping.
Oh,
they
his
would-
lady who
his
spoke
lady-
3
hoping
words.
they
The
would
only
make it
female
through.
archer in the whole
Yeah.
army, you mean?
the only archer in the whole army.
You want to
yeah.
you know what I thought was fucking stupid? Speaking of her, because
Yeah.
when she gets killed and Lucilla gets killed, how the arrow hits him in the same spot,
Yeah.
like dead center, like right in
Yep.
the
No,
sternum.
no, it's different. It's one. Hers is down here.
I
Lucilla
would
is
argue
pretty
it's the
close.
same thing, man.
I look. I
Like
would
right,
look,
right between the chest.
Yeah.
dollars to
Dead
donuts.
nuts,
Dollars to
same.
donuts. I will bet a baconator that the arrow hits Lucilla right here, right in the trachea area.
No.
No, it's way lower. It's right dead
Yes,
because
it is.
she says a whole line of dialogue after that.
So,
I think it's higher than you think, but okay.
Well, like, look, we'll
Fair-
get to see
fair
it again,
enough.
but like,
I'm
look,
glad we mentioned
here's the thing:
arrows.
it's if it's different, it is very similar.
I'm glad we mentioned the arrows. I have another problem with like the physicality of this movie and the cuts. We talked
How
about
they
the
shooting over the wall.
Well, we talked about like the hard cuts earlier and how this movie's very very like jump cutty.
Yeah.
And most medieval fantasy stuff, and Grayson, you can attest this too. And
Yeah.
even in the first Gladiator movie, because we watched it, someone gets hit by an arrow. You usually see the first scene where someone's releasing the arrow, right?
Mhm.
They're firing the arrow, and then it cuts to the person, and they get hit by the arrow. We hear that hollow that
Yep.
sound, right? And we see it happen. They get hit, and we're like, "Oh God!" In this movie, whenever someone gets hit by an arrow, you never see it. It cuts to the character, and the arrow's already in them every
yeah,
time.
of course.
Well, like
Why?
with Asius or
Why?
whatever, when he's just like, like fucking porcupine quills appearing on him.
That's the only, it's I don't understand why, like, when his girl in the beginning is hit, and when Lucille Ball, what's her name? Lucilla. When she gets hit, it's both just like cuts to the character and, oh, there's an arrow here now, oh my God, and they die. You know what I mean? It's like you don't get to like you don't see the arrows hit. Happened in the in the water fight too, where they're firing arrows and people are just like, I have an arrow now, and they fall down. It's not like we don't see it happen and then they go down.
They're just stuck.
It's just poor like editing, or like they didn't have the budget to do arrow shots, which is wild to me. So like another thing that was it's just far like superior that the first movie did better than this one. It's just even like the small detail, like arrows being realistically like shown that they're dealing damage to people. I don't understand.
Well, it just doesn't. I mean, the practicality of them. Even the scene we just discussed with General Acacia in the ring, in the Colosseum with Hanno is, or let's call him Lucius. That's what we're in the
Yeah.
yeah. We call him
Yeah.
Lucius now.
So
it's Lucius.
when they're in the same. What kills me is like he would have been hit 12 times too.
Yeah,
I mean, well, they make one look close to him.
yeah.
Lucius would have also been hit. That's the thing is.
Yeah.
He would have that's the thing. Well, I mean, I understand it looks great on film to do what they did, and it did. I mean, that was that might have been the one scene that I thought took me the closest to some kind of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
But like Chris, like something you said earlier about like the dialogue kind of it kind of disarms the emotion because he's like, I love you and your mother and I loved your father, blah blah blah. It's like,
Yeah.
come
No,
on,
I served his
man.
father and I loved him and blah 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 blah.
God, can we not think of anything better to write? I
No.
could have. You give me 10 minutes, I could have spruced up that sequence. Like it doesn't. It just that's what we're given, and it sucks.
And again, it all happens with Denzel's character having all this stuff fall into his lap that put it all into motion. Everything he does is like, oh, this is cool, and I'll just do this now. And it's
He
like
should play the lottery.
he really should. But it's like like I don't know. The whole time I'm watching this and watching this, like the story of like I thought at first that he didn't remember he was Lucius or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like he doesn't. he talks about how much he hates Rome the whole time. Then all of a sudden he's willing to die for Rome by the end of this. That was another big.
I'm the Prince of Rome.
That's a big swap. And then okay, the Prince of Rome sends a ring of a general, and they're like, do they even know who Lucius is?
Right.
Do they even know there
I
is
mean,
a
somebody
Prince of
clearly
Rome?
does.
Well, do they? Because it's been 16 goddamn years.
The script says that they do.
All right,
Well,
fair
the thing.
enough.
That's the script says this. The script says that. It's like
Yeah.
that sums up this movie. Everything. It's like what makes me so. Another thing that makes me mad, logistically thinking about it, is like what I think we talked about. This is in the beginning. He's like, "Your son is dead, and that man is different." And then he's like, "Oh, now that I have you, I don't want to lose you again, Mom."
Yeah, exactly.
What do you? What?
That's what I was talking about earlier. How it's like, one
My
scene
son
they hate
has
each
come
other,
back to
and
me.
7 minutes later, like they're cool. And like again, the whole amnesia thing, or like I don't know why they played it this way with him, like pretending like he wasn't Lucius for a while. Like he says, "If I am your son, that that man died long ago," or something like that. You know what I mean? Like he says that to her, but then he embraces that he's Lucius.
Yeah.
Like
It's
I
like there's
couldn't.
two different movies here that they just took two different scripts and just
Yeah,
mashed them
no, that's what it
together.
feels like, because then all of a sudden we have resolutions that start happening, and they don't feel
Very
like they,
rapidly.
and they don't
way.
and they don't feel like
Yes.
they don't feel like they fit the first half of the film.
You know what I thought was hilarious?
What?
Whenever Macrinus has the emperors fucking barking at each other, get him finally riled up that he's gonna kill him,
Mhm.
and then he takes like the scythe and he sticks in his neck, and like Macrinus pulls up behind him. He's like, I saw his fucking head off. I'm just like, whoa, what are
Yeah.
we doing here?
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
and their ability.
I also
to,
like the monkey as the first council.
true.
Their-
Bold choice.
Their ability to be manipulated was kind of whatever to me. But like what drove me nuts again, and this is kind of similar to the whole how he said to the one guy, "Let's not kill each other for them, brother," and then all of a sudden,
Let's
like,
kill
they
each
forget
other.
that he can talk. When he's like, I'll go talk to your brother, and then he walks to like the next fucking room.
Around the corner,
And they
he's
don't
like,
have horns.
"Ah,
Yeah.
your brother called you a bitch."
And then
You gonna fucking take that?
and like the other brother doesn't hear none of this.
Like,
He's not quiet about it at all.
so I used to years ago. I used to party with a couple of brothers that when they get them drunk enough, they would either fist fight each other or like hug, cry each other.
Okay.
So like at some points during the night, if you got them messed up enough, they would fight and then hug each other. It was
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
Like I kind of feel like that. He's like, when like they're like, I'm not fucking talking to you, and somebody's like, ooh,
Mhm.
fuck you.
Yeah.
And then they get them all riled up again, like how it starts. Like that's what that felt like to me.
Yeah.
Like
It felt so.
all of a sudden they're fist fighting in a hall closet.
It
I
felt
fucking hate you.
It felt so unthought out and
It did.
forced, and then it's like again, it's like a movie editing. Why isn't he speaking in hushed tones the whole time? Instead, he's like, I don't know, I'd kill your fucking brother if I were you, dog.
Yeah,
you know why
If you
he's
weren't
not-
such a bitch, you'd have done it already.
you know why he doesn't speak in hushed tones, because Denzel does not speak in hushed tones.
You know, it's just like it's.
I got a knife right here.
Here's the thing.
Be a shame if your brother fell on
If
this.
you stabbed in his neck over and over again,
Be ashamed if his head was cut off, wouldn't it?
if you sawed his head off,
Be
and I stood
ashamed
there-
if you
I
put
stood
his
there
head in
laughing.
his bag.
And all the while, Larry has to clean up the blood. He's like, God,
Yeah.
I just want to go home. for
Yeah,
the night."
Yeah.
Larry's also the custodian.
Somebody fucking walks back in. What the fuck is this? I just mopped here. Fucking hates his life.
It just. It's things like this on top of the other problems that just make this.
Well,
thing
that stuff
hard to
is
watch.
laughably bad.
It is,
which
it's
is
horribly bad.
crazy.
Well, can we talk about the terrible like wax head that they was carrying
Oh,
around after
man.
that?
I mean, listen, I giggled a little at that part when he's like moving the head and like looking at people.
The head's just like this, just sitting there like,
That was pure Denzel.
Yeah,
That was
100%.
that was not a part of the script.
no.
Like, but he's just like, ooh, I can periscope this bitch. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
It
It
just
was funny.
the script allows like the last 10 like the last 15 20 minutes to me is like that's where the movie really fucking
It goes off the rails.
like before that it's like it's kind of over the
Well-
cliff and then it's
well,
like yep we're going over
Dude,
it.
when Macrinus takes off out of the state, out of the
Mhm.
Colosseum, right?
yeah, this is
And then Lucius just sprints out and he's like, horse! Like, who's just gonna give you a fucking
But here's the
horse?
other thing. He's a wanted man.
Yeah.
They they've been seeing this guy in the arena for weeks now, months even probably. And here's the thing.
Maybe legitimately, potentially a year.
Here's the thing. He's an enemy of Rome.
The enemy of the state, yes.
And he just rides on this horse past this entire army of people that kill. Not
They
one guy
give
was
him
like
the horse.
not one guy was like, maybe I should take this crossbow and just get this guy right in the shoulder.
No, I have
right
to
now.
shoot this blindly into the crowd.
It's like no one's gonna stop this guy. They let him get out of the city, and then to put this big old fuckburger to sleep, you have Denzel's character fighting the son of Maximus in front of these two
A
armies.
gladiator in peak physical condition against a 65-year-old man.
A killing machine against grandpa. Like, in what reason would this character make that choice? He's not.
I don't know if that was ever in the script. I think Denzel's like, you know what, Ridley?
I want to sword fight him.
I want to sword
fight
fight.
him.
I'm
I'll
doing
fight
this
him.
shit. I'm 65. I can do it. Let's do it. Because the ending to me, and I texted you guys as soon as I saw this, like the ending is whack.
It's whack.
The ending is
that's my word. That's my word. I use that.
Ending, hold on. The ending is so nonsensical and the thing that pisses me off the most, like the several things that piss me off the most is what, like, again, something that you set it up and you didn't do it, was when he's like looking because like in the movie the cooldown is very quick, like the whole like the cooldown after Act 3 is very quick, he's like, let's stop fighting, let's unite, but it doesn't make sense because like Rome fell, so why even do that?
Hold up.
True.
Have you guys ever watched Tommy Boy?
Yeah, of course
you have, right? Remember the first part where he meets Rob Lowe, when he's like, oh, you must be Tommy, and he sticks out his hand? This is how I imagine. Yeah, I imagine the end of this movie. He's like, brothers don't shake hands. Brothers got a hug. And then these armies just fucking come together because that's how fucking cheesy it is.
Yeah.
Hold on. So let me. My thing is, not only is that super quick, but like I was ready for a fight. Like, I was okay. Now we're.
Well, let's get a large scale battle.
Yeah, we're gonna get a large scale. All right.
Now we're gonna see where the extra 50 million went towards this fight. Now let's fucking do it. And then we don't. And then
when the Denzel's earrings.
And then Lucius is down there like he's Jesus, talking to all these people about, I am gonna save you, blah blah blah.
But like, what doesn't it make more sense to have Lucius leading the uprising?
Of course it does,
or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, but
he's not leading the uprising.
I know, but it makes sense because he hates Rome until the end when he doesn't. All of a sudden,
until I loved Rome in my heart
it makes
forever.
Sense for him to be a part of the machine that brings Rome down. Like because we know it falls.
Yeah,
but no.
Well, I mean, but then he goes to the Colosseum and he touches the wheel because
the ending is so weird. Like the closeout scene to this movie.
He touches the wheel because I guess some of his mom's blood is on the wheel, and he says, "Mother."
Is that what he was doing? I guess I never put that together. I'm like, what the fuck?
And then he turns around, and then the camera shows us a piece of the ground. And I'm like, are they gonna? There's no way that Maximus's little satchel is still fucking there. I'm like, that's actually kind of cool to have his son dig it up because that was those little like whatever those toy soldiers.
His little people. It was his family.
Yeah, of course, represent his family that he had on his shrine. The whole first film when he was a gladiator is like, is he gonna find that? Like, how would my mind's like, how would it survive the water? How would it survive the rhino? How would it survive all?
Can we talk about how this legend of Rome is buried in a fucking pit underneath the gladiator arena?
Okay. Why is his name scratched out? That's what doesn't make it, because like Commodus would have been dead before the name was even put on the wall.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Why was it? So why was it even scratched? Like none of this makes sense. And why would Lucilla have to? Why do they have to retcon Lucilla taking Lucius out? Like that would have been a time of peace and reconnecting for Rome. It wouldn't have been a time of.
How does she have a fucking trap door in her fucking house that just goes underneath everything? Do you think that was badass? Like Batman style? She's like, hold on, I have to touch this brick. And the fucking door slides open. Brother, it's like 200 AD. What the fuck?
Listen, man.
Bricks don't move.
It was in the movie. It's real.
God damn.
Stuff like that, it just upsets me because the ending it's almost a joke. It's so like.
It is a joke.
Okay, that's like, okay, Ridley, nice first cut. Where's the rest of the footage? We need an actual ending here.
This is a good test script. Where's the rest? He's like I'm done. Shoot this or I'm out.
We're done.
I got my 20 million. I don't care.
We're done. I'm shooting this, or you guys can find someone else. Like, Jesus Christ.
Well, but that's the thing is I don't. So you guys know why I'm upset by this because
100%.
I understand it completely.
Yeah. Like the movie is okay up to a certain point, and then it's really bad, and then the ending somehow is worse. You know what I mean? Like it's worse than an emperor with syphilis naming his monkey as the first consult. Like somehow it gets worse than that.
I mean, listen, it takes strategy and balls to do something like that. Something different in the political realm.
So that's what I want to say though about the
man might have been a genius.
The first,
You know how many dogs have been mayors in this country? Not enough.
not enough indeed. Isn't there one in Alaska? Or wasn't there one in Alaska?
There's been a few of them
Okay,
actually.
Yeah,
fair.
a couple.
There's nothing that says a monkey can't be first lieutenant or whatever it was. There's no rules here. First consult. That's what it was.
That's I guess I give it this because there's so much of this movie I like, and I like the craft of filmmaking is there. It sounds good. The sound effects are great. I think for the most part it looks. I don't like that they use digital film. I would have preferred the look of the first one that's actually on. The celluloid, the film, the actual film substance. I think that gives the color a deeper, richer blacks and whites. So the rest of the color scheme is offset by that. I'm disappointed. I guess it's a
Just
passable
disappointed.
movie. If you put it in the scope by itself, it's a much better movie than if you put it next to the Goliath that is Gladiator.
Well, if this movie wasn't called Gladiator II, I would think it's better than what I think it is now.
Which I think they were trying to do something, because every time I heard a radio spot for this on the podcast, I listened to many political podcasts I listened to, or like I saw it advertised somewhere, they always called it Gladiator. Never Gladiator 2, which I thought was weird. But maybe they were trying to rebrand it, or they were trying to. Maybe that's the whole. I don't know what they're trying to do with it. But
Do you think when he took the sword off the wall it was still sharp?
no,
This
no,
thing.
no, of course not.
Well,
He didn't sharpen it.
Well, that's the movie part of it, though.
It'd be really dry down there.
Yeah.
The scabbard would, if the scabbard didn't rust, didn't rust onto the hilt, then yeah, it'd be fine.
All of a
I
sudden,
imagine the
all of a sudden
leather's all
Chris is
dried
like,
out and fucked up.
all of a sudden Chris is like a sword expert, scabbard and hilt, and
It's it is what it is. Don't worry about it.
Listen, I understood the points that I
he's
was
got
making.
me.
but that's
I
the
don't
same. The same for the doctor, who also was a character that like confounds me of why he's in the movie.
He was there so he could be the trusted guy that rides off for him. That was
Sure, and I
all.
understand that, because like I don't understand why you wouldn't bring Jaimin Hansu back. I mean, why you wouldn't write Juba into this film, I will never fucking know. But maybe he didn't want to do it. I don't
Maybe
know.
he didn't want to do it. Yeah.
But you had to have another companion for the Maximus character, which is Lucius, to talk to, like another confidant to be buddy with. But that's the thing, is he's like, oh, what we do in life echoes in eternity, and which is cool. That's a link. I get it. One of the few links I was hoping for, and the many that we got that we didn't need from other ones. But and then he's like, oh yeah, it's just, he's like, oh, casually, it's like, oh, it's just one of the gladiators down there buried. It's on the wall next to his body. I don't, it's just.
Hey, if you want it, I think there's a sword down there.
Yeah, I think there's some armor. I don't. Maybe.
Yeah, there's a sword
No,
laying there.
some very well crafted armor apparently, as it takes several stab wounds directly to the torso.
But everyone knows about this shit. Like, why would that not be better hidden?
Brother, he's got mythical armor. Like, that's it.
Who knew
Like,
that
what's the shit Frodo wears underneath this?
Who knew that was plus 5
Mithril.
studded?
Yeah, he's got his mithril armor.
Who knew
underneath.
that was a plus 5 magical item studded leather down there? But
Plus
it's fine.
5. It's way more than that.
Now
I think it's plus 5 for each stab wound.
Now Larry's got to clean up the crypt again.
Who took this?
Larry's day sucks, man. Got to clean up rhino poop. He's got to get sharks.
All right, so it's about time we wrap up. What is there anything else we need to directly go over? Any last points?
I think just my final words on this is that, like, again, I passed the movie, and it's only because you can turn this action movie on for what it is and watch dudes get cut up to pieces and run over by boats and dudes gored by rhinos and have a bloody good time.
Almost scored.
If you want to watch this thing because it's the successor to Gladiator II, I think you should just rewatch Gladiator, because it's a better film and you get the same exact beats but done better.
Okay,
So
sure, yeah.
that's where I'm at. Like,
will-
it is what it is.
So of course I think it's a better movie than comparing it to the first one would lead you to believe, but there are a lot of unanswered rushed things here. But this one, for me, it's like Terminator 3. It's like Alien 3. It's like they exist. I'd prefer they didn't, but
Wish not.
if they
Rather you didn't.
but that's the thing. It's like Terminator 3, like, because of the other really bad Terminator films, and like Alien 3 because of the other really bad Alien films. Like, I accept, because, well, worse films came along later that made that one not so bad. So
Yeah, this isn't Gladiator Dark Fate yet, but wait till Gladiator 3 comes out.
If you're honest, Terminator 3 has the best story of all the Terminators.
It's true.
turn Roger's mic off, please. Thank you very much.
You can't. I have control here. I'm the control center.
Again, it's putting it up to the original Gladiator is what the really damning testimonial is. That kills it. But if you don't, I can see why people are liking this, though. Like, there's a lot of elements here which I like. Again, the choreography is great. So the fighting when you get it is great. It looks cool. there's just a lot here. The story element, unfortunately, is the weakest part of of a sequel to a Best Picture winner.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
So I gave it a thumbs down, and I'm serious. Like, I was very disappointed in this movie, and I didn't have the highest expectations for it. But the thing is, right, like the story's soft as hell.
Yeah.
It's not really there. There are a bunch of story points that don't make any sense until they force feed you an answer that makes it even worse, honestly. But again, though, this going down a long line of things of we're watching a movie that probably didn't need to be made, a sequel that's not worthy of the title before it.
Yeah.
And it's something that keeps happening over and over again. I don't know if it's a cash grab or what, but like this movie's got a long way to go to be profitable, and it's not going to get any kind of critical acclaim. So when you look at it like that, it's not ever a very good thing to have to deal with.
Well, let me ask you guys one more question. When you're done, Ron.
Sure. No, go ahead. Go ahead. No, you're good.
What if this trickles to 500 or 600? Which I mean, I don't with the week that's coming, it could.
But what's the end game though?
Well, no,
right? Like
here's
they're
the
not
question.
trying to get enough money to make a Gladiator
Well,
3.
That's the thing. The question is, I think it's definitively enough closed that, like, even to the point where like Maximus carried around an arrowhead to kill the emperor. Lucius carries around the other side of the arrow he took out of his wife. Like, again, everything has been closed. Like, there's two of everything. It echoes too. So is there even room for another movie? I say no, but then again, I wouldn't have said yes to a sequel to this either 20 years ago. So
I mean,
that's
God, I
the
hope
question.
not.
Yeah.
Is
I
that a
mean,
fair enough answer? I hope not.
if it trickles to 500 million, good for it, because it doesn't. I don't think it deserves that. I don't think it needed to spend 250 to begin with. But I mean, no, I hope this movie gets exactly what it deserves. I hope that it makes almost its budget back, and they throw Gladiator back into the can, because it's just right now the people that they have on it don't have the same passion they did when Gladiator 1 was created. It's just not there right now.
Nope.
Well,
The
Gladiator
tools
1
aren't
was
right for it.
it was a conglomeration of like a bunch of movies from the golden age of Hollywood that they thought they would like encapsulate into one, like Fall of the Roman Empire and a couple others, and it was lightning in a bottle, which we've just found out cannot be put back into the bottle.
At least not with the tools available right now.
And
Like,
did you did you guys see the what Russell Crowe, like the post he did about why his character isn't in Gladiator 2? Do you guys see
No.
this? He's like, I'm not Gladiator 2 because my character is fucking dead.
Good.
Like, why would
Perfect. Thank you.
He's like, I keep hearing this rumor that I was on set.
someone
I can
was
assure you,
someone
I was
was
not on
said.
set.
I'm very much fucking dead.
Like, I don't care because I'm dead.
I ain't trying to bust on Russ either. He ain't Gladiator shape no more.
No, but
You know what? He actually might be in Gladiator shape. That's a
No.
big man right now.
He is a big
You
guy.
get him in
Big
there
boy.
with dual wielding some big old club
what
hammers.
have you referred to him in the past? Fat John Goodman or something, or Skinny John Goodman?
Yeah.
Skinny John Goodman.
Yeah.
Skinny John Goodman. Yeah, it's just the whole thing is
Gonna have a
like,
bad fucking day.
I love that movie Unhinged, by the way, but
Fucking terrible.
It's like the first one was a perfect storm of like Russell Crowe, a great script, a great
Mhm.
director. They had Richard
a
Harris.
great movie. Just a
Yeah.
great fucking movie.
Richard Harris and Oliver Reed, which fucking knocked it out of the park. They just didn't have any of those elements here.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
we're learning is, I think that's a hard lesson to learn, is they may make profit on this, but nowhere near what they wanted to. Given
No.
spending 250
No,
million.
the expectation for what they're going to get out of this is not coming in. But you know what?
I agree.
Again, quality wasn't there. So
Nope.
No, it was not. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining me for
Sure.
this
movie discussion.
discussion. I just wish it was better.
Yeah, Gladiator Week was kind of a letdown. The most, it is what it is, though. There will be many more of these letdowns to come. But there's also some good stuff in here that we find that we don't expect.
I can look at our future schedule and see at least 3 letdowns.
Yeah, well,
they're coming January.
Can we talk about Wild Robot again? That was a good movie.
That was a damn good movie.
For the first time.
Well, this has been
shit!
this has been episode 5 of Post Credits Podcast, where we talk about movies, and you can check us out on all the usual suspects: Podbean, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube. Check us out. And again, we'll see you next week for Moana 2.
Peace.
God damn it, Larry.